Next on Saratoga Live, today's 8th is a sprint loaded with talent, including Wonderful Light, who's never finished off the board in his career. Today he looks for the 3rd win in the last 4 starts. 3-year-olds tackle the turf in today's 9th admission office. Will undoubtedly be flying home late. He tries to pick up his 2nd win in just 3 career starts. And we'll look back at Saturday's Alabama, where Eskimo Kisses pulled off the stunning upset in the premier race for 3-year-old fillies. What does this mean for the division going forward? All that and much more coming up on this Sunday edition of Saratoga Live. It's presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Good to have you with us on Fox Sports 2 and other regional networks across the country. Beautiful Sunday weather here in Saratoga Springs, New York. Premier race meet in the country and a fantastic crowd on hand to see a good card we have coming up. You're joining us just at start for the top of the late pick 4, which we'll get to in a moment. Greg Wolf alongside one of the top trainers in the country. Tom Amos by my side here on the roof. And that 8th race here, Chad Brown sending out favorable outcome. High expectations for this horse who ran in the Breeders' Cup a ways back. Now gets a drop in class.
Yeah, drop in class comes out of the Belmont Sprint, which is a much tougher race than this. Was in this exact condition 2 back on May the 17th. Ran 2nd. A logical horse to pick up the check here.
This was on a sloppy going at Belmont. Would run a very good 2nd against a nice horse, recruiting ready, won a couple of minor stakes races. And then, as you mentioned, this horse next out of this face 2 of the top sprinters in the entire country.
Yeah, look, that was what you might call a little ambitious, but this is the exact condition today that you're watching favorable outcome run in at Belmont, 2 back, and it's logical when you run in the same conditions and you knock out the winner of the race, you're the next up.
Extra bonus. Only try at Saratoga was a win for the son of Flatter. We'll see if he can get back in the win column today for Chad Brown facing easier company. That is today's 8th race. You could bet all the races we show you each and every day and all summer long on Saratoga Live. Go to NYRABets.com or download the NYRABets app. Bet 200, you'll get $200 new member bonus in your account. Use the promo code Saratoga Live to take advantage. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Meanwhile, we're going to check in with the rest of our crew down by the paddock. New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling and former New York Met and LA Dodger, Paul Duca.
Thanks, Greg. Tell you, it's interesting with Chad Brown having that runner, favorable outcome in the dirt. He's also obviously got turf runners, and he has a tough one at admission office in race number 9.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to either single admission office or try to go deep in that race. And to me, you know, he was so impressive in his first time out. His 2nd time out, he probably should have won. He actually might have surprised a lot of people. You don't really see Chad Brown first-time starters go off at 13-1, bottom line, whatever the condition is. And he won, and he came back, and he franked it, I thought, with a better effort.
You know, he's a half-to horse named Coffee Click, who won the Grade 1 Just a Game, the Longines Just a Game a few years ago, and it is surprising he made that price. Now, he got a very good pace scenario in a race that collapsed, but it was a strong field. We've seen horses do well in the race. I think this was, like you say, maybe a better effort. Finishing 2nd to a Christophe Clement horse who got the run of the race. Just an absolutely perfect trip that day, and maybe a little give in the ground will help him. There is not a lot of speed in the race, though, and that perhaps could be his Achilles heel as we head out the paddock to the 5th member of our team, Maggie Wolfendale.
Thanks, Andy. I want to take a look at that 8th race once again. You know what's interesting is that although it's a very competitive race, none of the runners are coming in off the backs of wins. But arguably, the best performance last time out did come from behavioral bias for trainer Al Stahl, who went out guns a-blazing in his last effort here, opening weekend at Saratoga. With the cutback in distance, those blinkers on, he was sharp beneath Javier Castellano. Now, Al Stahl stating that he was very proud of his charge, but maybe they'd cut the blinkers back just a smidge. But it's not as if this 7 furlong sprint has that much speed. So if he wants to lead again, I would say take it with behavioral bias, but possibly the most interesting horse in this field is the outside runner and Breaking Lucky, coming back off of a layoff, who's faced nothing but greatest stakes winners. And for him, we'll check in with Gabby Gaudet.
Thank you, Maggie. Yes, the last time that we saw this horse was actually September of 2017, going against Grade 1 Company. He had a pretty tough campaign last year, going against graded stakes horses in almost all of his starts. But today he is coming back off of that layoff. And I did get the chance to speak to Tom Bellhouse, who represents West Point Thoroughbreds, who actually co-owns this horse. And I asked him what the expectations are with this horse today off of the shelf. And he said 7/8, you know, this is going to be a good starting point for this horse. They're not necessarily expecting to win, but they're expecting a good performance for him to potentially build upon. And depending on how he does today, maybe we could even see him in the Breeders' Cup later this fall, Greg. So it's going to be an interesting race, but I think all the connections realize that this is just going to primarily be a starting point for this 6-year-old.
Wow, high expectations for this horse on the comeback. Maybe a Breeders' Cup date later this summer. This horse a neck away for being a Grade 1 winner on this track. That was in the Woodward a couple of years ago. Let's take a look at the races we have coming up. Race 7 kicks off the late pick 4. We have a maiden group going 6 furlongs. That 8th race where we'll see favorable outcome and breaking lucky in action. Race number 9, we talked about admission office in the open for Chad Brown, making career start number 3, and we close things out. Race 10, 6 furlongs on the main track. Weather and track conditions, they're presented by Piranha Fly Spray, the preferred fly spray of the Saratoga Racecourse. Piranha on, pests gone. Main track is fast. Turf condition good for that 9th race where we're going a mile and 3/16 on the Mellon turf course. And by the way, the rail out 27 feet for what that is worth. We'll talk more about that coming up. 7th race. Here's a look at the field and the current odds in here. So a bunch of new faces in this spot. The only horse with any experience, Tom. 24 Roses, who went long on the turf, now sprinting on the dirt today.
Yeah, that's why you got to look at the odds board here, Greg. You're getting a bunch of first-time starters. Where's the money showing? The smart money that's watched these horses work. To the 2, who's actually scheduled to start here back on the 5th of August and was scratched at the gate, maybe flipped over or something like that. But whatever it was, back today for Mo Wheels Up the 2 horse. As far as the pick 4 goes, Greg, I think this race is wide open, and I think you got to stay covered in a lot of spots. First-time starters can be very, very tricky, so I'm all in this spot, but I really like what I think is the lone speed in the 8th race. Behavioral bias controls things on the front end, and I'm narrowed down in the 9th race as well. Look, the best horse in the race, admission office, but another race, 0 speed in there. You've got to include the 10 strike, and I'm going to spread back out in the last.
All right, coverage in race 10. $45 ticket. Paul LaDuca, what'd you come up with?
Wow, similar.
Yeah, very similar. And Tom and I thinking this could be anything in here. And all these horses have worked not that great in the morning. So the 2 is getting all the money, the Joe Sharp runner. Then I'm 3-4. I'm going to single Chad Brown. I'm just done getting beat by him. And then 1-5-8, 10 and 11 in the last. I took a couple shots in the last.
I got a question for Amos. You singled your friend Al Stahl.
I did.
Race number 8. He's on the duck. Do you think he would single you to get off the duck in a pick 4 ticket, Tom?
Andy, we've been 10 minutes into the show. Are we going to start? I mean, look, I saw the tweets after last night's show. It's Amos 1, Serling 0.
We might have a little surprise, too. Andy's ROI this week coming up later in the show. That graphic we're working on, Andy.
I think I have those people blocked and muted on Twitter, so I didn't see anything of the kind.
It's because you block all those people.
I mute.
We're going to take a look back. We have a moment. There was a stakes race earlier on in the card. It was a Summer Colony back in race 4, mile and an 1/8 here in this spot. Fillies and mares going at it, and we're going to see it right now. Field of 5 that lined up.
Jose Ortiz shaking up Moonlit Garden to get another furlong. Awestruck is second. On the inside, A Place to Shine. And then comes Forever Liesel on the outside, but Moonlit Garden is still there. A Place to Shine storms into second, but won't get to Moonlit Garden in time. Moonlit Garden won it by a length and a half.
Moonlit Garden trainer Chris Davis getting the win for Town and Country Racing.
Yeah, Chris comes from a racing family in Chicago. His mom, Leanne, was a trainer for a long time over there. He did his tutelage under a number of people, including Mike Stidham. There he is, proud of his horse. Young guy with a big future.
And looking sharp there in the winner's circle. Nice win from this daughter of Malibu Moon, just the 3rd win of her career. So that was earlier today. So look at Rudy Rodriguez. He'll send out Billy Joel coming up in this spot. The 6 horse right now 7-1 on the board. First timer by Dialed In. Late pick 4 from Saratoga coming up next on this Sunday afternoon when we return.
Eclipse champion Blade is having a breakout year in 2018. Among the nation's leading sires of stakes horses, his recent top runners include Fault, Maraud, Marley's Freedom, Beyond Blame, and Miss Kentucky. He's also making a name for himself internationally with French Classic winner Singna. And with yearlings bringing up to $350,000, this 3-time Grade 1 winner offers outstanding value. Blade, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a length and a half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200.
The dramatic finish.
Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Nyquist switches back to the outside. Exaggerator down to the 16th pole, but Exaggerator has turned the tables. He has won the Preakness. Nice has won the Travers over American Fame. Irish War Cry has won the Wood Memorial. Alice Ellis. Good Magic's gonna win his first race, and he's gonna do it as the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Visit Rivers Casino and Resort, upstate New York's ultimate entertainment destination with live table game action and the hottest new slots paying out millions. Book your luxury waterfront room or suite at upstate New York's premier resort, the Landing Hotel at Rivers Casino and Resort.
At this Saratoga meeting, we'll start things off with your current favorites. Two-year-old racing is a handicapping puzzle unlike any other in the game. The only information you can use in the program that gives you only a vague idea of how they will run is their pedigree, morning workouts, and stats for the trainer, thus making it very important to look at two-year-old first-time starters in the paddock. Firstly, look at them as a physical. The horses that tend to be precocious types are mature, athletic-looking individuals. They will be bigger, solid, and fit. You also want to find horses that are mature mentally as well. They will act like professionals that have already run before. Horses that are green, spooky, nervous, or studdish generally should be avoided.
They can be obstreperous. What's the most difficult thing about working with two-year-olds?
Trying to define obstreperous. I can't even say it.
I don't even know what it means, actually.
The challenge of two-year-olds is getting to know them in the mornings and working with their personalities, finding out what suits them best in training, and recognizing at all times, two-year-olds or not, that each of these horses is an individual. It's going to respond to different things.
Well, with more on these runners that starts off this late pick 4 here, let's head downstairs to Maggie Wolfidel. It's Paddock Report time, brought to you by Hillendale Farm. Now standing Curlin for $150,000.
Well, isn't that the truth, Tom? And trying to figure out how to get Mo Wheels up to the gate without her getting loose, I'm sure is in the forefront of Joe Sharp, her trainer's mind right now. She was supposed to debut with her stablemate, Lady TNT, who as Larry Colmus said, just blew away the field that day. But people thought that they may have been betting Mo Wheels up here. Her work tab is littered with bullets. She works very quickly in the morning. Now, looking at her here in the paddock, I think the same thing about her that I did last time. She kind of defies the logic of a horse that should be quick. She's very, very upright. She's very long framed. She doesn't have that big engine, those big hindquarters indicative of a dirt sprinter, but sometimes they don't fit that physical mold and they are just that fast. She is being quiet and really well behaved here in the paddock, as we do see her connections of fixing blinkers to her face right now. Looks as though it's just a shortcut blinker on her right now. We will keep our eye on her, and hopefully she will not get loose and not jump the outside rail and run around and take a tour de force of the Saratoga backstretch this time around. So like I said, I'll be keeping my eye on her. Number 6 is the cleverly named Philly Joel for Rudy Rodriguez, a daughter of Dialed In. And we've seen these Dialed Ins be somewhat on the precocious side. He seems to throw some early type of runners, and she kind of looks that way. She comes in here sharp, good size, nicely balanced, looks as though she could be quick away from there here for Rudy Rodriguez, as she, of the first-time starters, is kind of taking some nibbles here as the one that I'm kind of most interested, given the fact that this is a 6-furlong sprint. Also that she gets the outside post. China Cat just looks fast. I watched her workout, which was 3 back, and she was going better than her stablemate. Don't know what she was facing. It was, I think, an unraced horse, but she just lowers herself and attacks the ground. Very indicative of a dirt sprinting filly, and that's exactly what she looks like here. And Jeremiah Englehart is a guy that is just so dangerous with his 2-year-olds, and I would be scared here of China Cat here, guys.
Well, that barn already with a stakes win with a 2-year-old here at the meet. Jeremiah Englehart having a nice Saratoga, so we'll see 8-1 right now on China Cat. You could play along on all these races without risking any of your own money and yet compete for real prizes. Go to the Saratoga Showdown. It's NYRA.com/showdown. And different contests each and every day. The races we show on our program here, and competing for NYRA Bets points and a prize package to next year's Belmont Stakes, as we send it downstairs to Andy Serling and Paula Duca.
So let's talk about the 5, Paul. 2 Dozen Roses. An odd move for Todd Pletcher, right? Starts out in the turf going long, comes back, but believe it or not, horses going turf to dirt with maiden 2-year-olds in their second start, 7 for 18, 292 ROI. Now we're showing a different stat. These are ones that are 2-year-old second start, turf to dirt last 5 years, are 7 for 21.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a really tough read because he worked the horse on turf multiple times. Then she ran on it, did not run well. She was 8-1, so she wasn't really fancy that day. Then she obviously must have sparked up on the dirt, and now she's getting bet like a good thing.
If I didn't see Todd Pletcher having good stats for this, I would throw this horse out, but he seems to win with them. This horse isn't bred to do anything special on either surface. The 2 Mo's Wheels Up, as was mentioned, was a scratch leading to the gate and ran off. The entry mate actually won, but they were betting this horse in there, and the word was out this one could run. It's good to see that nothing really bad happened, and she's back racing, and you have to believe in money for Joe Sharp.
Yeah, and I would think she's going to show pretty sharp speed with all the bullets around her. She's 8-5 right now. I don't think you're going to get any part of 8-5. She's probably around 4-5 to 3-5 in a lot of the multis.
Oh, really? I'll have to take a look at the double and see how short. She's a half to wild about Deb, who's a nice dirt runner in California and New York. And also, all 4 foals in the dam were pretty good. The one it's just hit the wire. This horse has a very nice pedigree to go long. 410,000 after working an okay 10 2/5 the 2-year-old sale. CJ's Awesome is a half to this. This was half CJ's Awesome. It's a very good run. The Ken McPeak, but he wanted to go long. But you know what? Kieran won with a horse yesterday at first. They're very impressive. That was bred to go long as well.
Yeah, and he beat a Chad Brown horse. That's good. That's going to be a good field, that race. And you're right. Kieran's going good right now. And it seems like his horse is always primed, you know, with the Oklahoma track being sort of his backyard. And this gray daughter of Bernardini, she might run well today at 13-1. I would think if she breaks well, I think Junior's going to have to go.
Yeah, we'll see if she really has speed. She is not taking any money. Now, they all mentioned China Cat in the outside. Well, I'm a sucker for any horse named for a Grateful Dead song. And actually, the owner told me his daughter's a Deadhead, and that's why he named the horse China Cat after China Cat Sunflower. Second foal, didn't see much pedigree, but I agree with Maggie. Jeremiah Englehart is just a dangerous trainer.
And Justin Phillip, the sire, was an honest horse who ran really well in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. He only stands for $5,000, so they paid $70,000 for this filly. Been working steadily. And who do you get? You get Jose Ortiz, and him and Jeremiah are very dangerous together.
You know, it's funny looking at this race because there's nobody that's jumping off the page at you and saying this is going to be a future stakes horse, but we see them coming out of these maiden races all the time. Todd Pletcher is trying to win his first scheduled dirt 2-year-old maiden race, the meet. Who would have believed we'd be saying that on the 5th Sunday of the meet?
That is pretty amazing, considering he is the king of the 2-year-olds around here when it comes to Saratoga. But I got to make a mention to the 6. Every time the last race is here, they always play a little bit of Billy Joel to walk everybody out. Why not Philly Joel here, the 6?
Well, we'll see if that happens. Todd Pletcher, he's thinking about that stat right now. He's thinking about the 5 2 dozen roses, Greg.
Yeah, he is, Andy. Again, this is the only one with experience in the field. We mentioned, though, it was going long on the turf. Today, sprinting on the dirt. But I love the point that Paul brought up. That is the way we walk out of this track every day. I'm a big believer in the hunch play.
Okay.
Billy Joel plays us home every night. Why not Philly Joel?
I think that's probably of the two obvious choices here, the 2-horse Mo Wheels Up, the first-time starter, and the 5 2 dozen roses who has a race experience under her belt. It is the 6 Philly Joel that's actually getting a little of attention. But after that, this field looks to be those 3 and the rest.
Well, there is Philly Joel. Rudy Rodriguez, son of his daughter, dialed in out. Irad Ortiz Jr., the meet's leading rider, attracted as well. And how much can you tell, like, what's going on in these youngsters' minds here and who really has their mind on racing here for their debut?
Well, it's outward behavior, obviously. I think the 6, ears forward like that, walking, looking good. I think she looks great as far as that goes. We rely on Maggie a lot for that, and she's great at giving us our information in the paddock. She mentioned Mo Wheels Up doesn't look like a sprinter. I get it, but don't forget, this is a horse by Uncle Mo. They all have that kind of weak, long back end that can give you the impression they're not, and they can fool you a lot of times.
8-5 on Mo Wheels Up, who's had some sharp drills here. Joe Sharp, of course, the trainer of the Uncle Mo filly, talking about the 2. He's had a tremendous Saratoga meeting to this point. And here is Mo Wheels Up. Luis Saez will ride. Has been steadily the favorite here on the board as we approach the 10-minute mark to post here in our post parade, coming up for a pick 4 that has $324,000 and growing here in this sequence. Meanwhile, for Todd Pletcher in the 5, Tom, 2 dozen roses, what's the thought process with a horse who goes long on the turf first time out, and then immediately after that you dial back and sprint on dirt?
Well, as Andy said downstairs, it looks like they're searching when you look at that, but you cannot ignore statistics in horse racing. And the statistics here for Pletcher going from turf to dirt and being a second-time starter maiden are so strong that 2 dozen roses has to be included as one of the probables in this race and in your pick 4 ticket.
Get in play. 3-1 right now is 10-1 morning line. A lot of first-time starters here in this group. The only one who's not, again, the 5 who we were just talking about. We're going to see it's just the wire. First, when we kick off our post parade here, this is a daughter of Bernardini, trained by Kieran McLaughlin. We saw him win with a very nice 2-year-old on Alabama Day. Junior Alvarado rides here.
His horse cost $410,000 after a 10 2/5 workout, the 2-year-old sale, but the pedigree says much more distance.
Our current favorite, it is Mo Wheels Up for trainer Joe Sharp with Luis Saez.
Is he the favorite because all the bullets on the page and maybe because all the others can't run? Remains to be seen, but he's bet heavily.
Private Beach, 10-1, daughter of Malibu Moon. And here she is for the Tony Dutrow barn with Florent Giroux.
Expensive yearling purchase, $425,000 for Tony Dutrow. Not a ton of pedigree I could find. More synthetic and probably more distance as well.
Shanghai Bonnie, there's Kendra Carmouche aboard for James Lawrence, and a daughter of Shanghai Bobby, of course.
Yeah, I mean, she comes in with some sharp works over at the Fairhill track over the dirt and the synthetic. She's got a bullet. So maybe she's live here at 12-1.
The only one with a race in this group here. 2 dozen roses for Todd Pletcher. John Velasquez aboard.
Certainly got a lot of experience going a mile and a 16th on the turf first time out. This Pletcher stats say use.
Philly Joel, trained by Rudy Rodriguez, Irad Ortiz Jr.
Yeah, this one is a homebred, and you're right. Irad gets aboard, and this horse is live, like Tom was saying, right on that morning line.
Gracetown, trained by Michelle Nevin. Manny Franco aboard.
First foal from this dam for a trainer, Michelle Nevin, who is one of the top trainers on this circuit.
Flatter My Heart, trained by Steve Asmussen with Ricardo Santana Jr.
Yeah, surprised that this horse is not taking a lot of money at 10-1. There's a work back at Churchill Downs, pretty good, 4 back on July 20th, but 10-1 right now.
And China Cat, trained by Jeremiah Engelhart with Jose Ortiz.
Some nibbles at the window for this one for trainer Jeremiah Engelhart. Justin Phillips certainly has a pedigree, maybe, to be a sprinter on the sire side.
So that's our field for a race that kicks off our late pick 4 here, approaching the 7-minute mark to post. I'm going to check in right now with Gabby Gaudette for more.
Thank you, Greg. Well, here in the paddock with Michelle Nevin, who does send out the number 7 Gracetown. And Michelle, good little pedigree here. Not much that I could find, at least on the bottom side. So what information could you tell us about this filly today?
She seems like a typical sprinting type. She's very compact, big hind end to her. She's been doing the right things in the morning, so we're excited to see what's going to happen.
All right, very exciting. But up next, too, after this race, you send out Wonderful Light. Now, this was a horse who was actually entered in opening weekend. You scratched out of that spot. He finds himself back today. What was the reason behind that?
He had a little bit of a foot issue, so we had to address that and skip that race, and hopefully we're back on track today.
And in his last race under Jose Ortiz, it did seem like he kind of was purposefully kept back and off of the pace. Do you foresee him getting something like that today, or is it different circumstances at 7/8?
I think at 7/8 you have to use his natural speed. I think he's going to place himself pretty close from the get-go. So we'll let it unfold that way.
Michelle, you're kind of talking about before we went on air, you hope your voice holds up. I think you're doing just quite fine.
Very husky.
Well, best of luck today.
All right, thanks.
Greg, she was saying that she lost her voice rooting for McKagan the other day, who almost got the victory, but a really good trip.
Yeah, that was a nice performance by that horse who lost a real close one on our show just the other day. As we get a look at Michelle's filly here, daughter of Into Mischief, Gracetown, 19-1 on the board.
Yeah, I thought the most interesting comments that Michelle made may concern our next race, the 8th race, and where she's going to put her horse, Wonderful Light, as it pertains to pace. I'm going to remember that as we go over that race, because I really had that horse probably sitting back off the pace. That was interesting to hear what she had to say.
Always easy to pick out the Steve Asmussen runners, the way he braids those manes there. Flatter My Heart, daughter, of course, of Flatter, the Claiborne stallion, who has produced 6 millionaires, including Grade 1 winner, West Coast. And those silks, Gary Mary West, still in the infield canoe right now, winner last year's Travers, going to win 3-year-old championship, is also produced Flat Out Taurus, $520,000 sale topper at the Fasig-Tipton July 2018 sale. And this year, yearlings have sold up to $520,000. Last year, 2-year-olds sold up to $600,000. Flatter, part of that incredible stallion lineup at Claiborne Farm. We're going to take a break of the action. We'll be back. Pick 4 is coming up. We will look back on our Alabama winner from Saturday and a Grade 1 win for Kenny McPeak.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
on Saratoga Live, and there is trainer Joe Sharp. He's had a fantastic first half of this Saratoga meeting. He's sending out the current favorite in race 7 to kick off the late pick 4. The 2 Mo Wheels Up, 7-5 on the board.
7-5 and deservedly so off those works. Joe Sharp, a former rider, actually, and gets on a lot of his own horses. You actually saw him walk this filly out, Mo Wheels Up. We'll see about her behavior, but he looks calm, cool, and collected, so I'm assuming she is on the track as well.
Meanwhile, Steve Asmussen, he's had a tremendous meet as well to this point, but you look at the board and you see 8-1 on a filly that was 7-2, and it gives you pause.
It does. And look at those works on the 8-horse Flatter My Heart. You're going to see that this horse has been to the gate and worked 4 different times. That is not the Asmussen way. So when you see something that's different in a pattern of how a horse gets ready by a specific trainer that gets a lot of horses ready, particularly in the 2-year-old department, my concern here is that Flatter My Heart is not good in the gate and doesn't leave there well.
Odds have gone the wrong way on the 8. For the 5, though, who we're looking at, 2 Dozen Roses. Wow, 10-1 morning line, 3-1 right now.
Yeah, look, I respect the statistics, but boy, if they're working this one on the grass, just get the idea that there's not a lot of speed out of the gate with this one.
With more on this filly by Super Saver, let's go to Maggie.
Well, guys, what I can say is, and Tom's awfully right, but she is a lot more sharp heading into this race. And, you know, it says unkind and rank. What I saw is that Johnny had a short hold of her because she wasn't handling the turf and was still at the same time trying to push her forward. So I think this is going to be a much more comfortable surface for her. A horse that is a long shot here, number 4, Shanghai Bonnie. I love the way she warmed up. She moved great out here, guys. She is fit. She is ready to go. And with Kendra Carmouche aboard with some fast drills down at Fair Hill, I wouldn't be surprised if she shows some gate speed.
14-1. There she is with a rider that loves to get out in front, be aggressive in Kendrick Carmouche.
It's a little bitty thing, but she sure does look quick.
It's the start of the late pick 4. Even money now on Mo Wheels Up, the 2 for trainer Joe Sharp. Send it upstairs to Larry Colmus for the call.
They're all in line. They're off. And it's Shanghai Bonnie sent out to the early lead here. On the outside, China Cat came out running in second. Gracetown is third. 2 Dozen Roses fourth in behind them. And then it's Private Beach. Flatter My Heart to the outside, followed by Mo Wheels Up. It just hit the wire, and Philly Joel at the back of the pack. It is Shanghai Bonnie up top as they race for the far turn. Ran a 22.32 quarter and is on top by 2 to 2 Dozen Roses on the inside. A 3-wide China Cat is beginning to move up too. Gracetown in between those two, losing a bit of position, back running in fourth in the far turn. Mo Wheels Up is fifth, and she's got 5 lengths to make up with. It just hit the wire, closing through on the inside as they make their way toward the top of the stretch. Then Flatter My Heart. Philly Joel is circling up on the far outside. They're into the stretch, and it is Shanghai Bonnie on top with a 3-length lead. It just hit the wire, is running in second. On the inside, 2 Dozen Roses third. Then Philly Joel on the far outside, and Mo Wheels Up. Shanghai Bonnie still there, coming to the final 16th. Here's 2 Dozen Roses, and it just hit the wire on the outside, the 3 of them, and it's going to be, oh, it got tight at the end, and it just hit the wire first. 2 Dozen Roses was second, Shanghai Bonnie and Philly Joel on the outside at 111.56.
Well, the 4 was fast as could be, but in the end, it just hit the wire, did hit the wire at the right time.
Yeah, it did indeed. The 1 horse, it just hit the wire. The winner here, but gosh almighty, Shanghai Bonnie ran too good to lose. Down the lane, controlled everything on the front end. Our favorite, Mo Wheels Up. Just wasn't her day today. Look for her to improve off that race. Look down on the rail here. She must have hit the rail. I knew something happened with 2 Dozen Roses because she looked like she was in perfect spot, and she got very intimidated through here.
Ooh.
Bounces against the rail. That cost her the race. That's not going to affect our winner. And because she finished ahead of of Shanghai Bonnie, no change to be made.
Let's bring it back, guys, the head-on belief. I don't agree necessarily with Tom. Can we please see the head-on again of that? It appears that the 1 comes in, makes contact with the 4 horse, and that horse will bounce off of the 5 2 Dozen Roses. Paul, I want you to look at this too. I think the 1 may have caused this whole thing at the end.
This is really weird because the 5 hits the rail to begin with.
Yes.
It shies away. But I think you're right. At the end of this,
Head
the
on.
4 is going to The one's going to hit the 4, calls it a little chain reaction, and you can argue from the pan view that the 5 was moving better than the 1 at the time. It's such a tough. Now we're going to get you the pan view when we can, and we'll show you. There's the inquiry they got on, but we'll show you the head on.
The head on. The pan, you can't see it on the pan. So for people know, the horse who has the sort of the black and white hat is the number 1 horse. The eventual first place winner. It just hit the wire. The 5 horse, 2 dozen rows on the rail. I agree very much with Tom said. The 5 is trying to squeeze through a hole and kind of bounced a little bit off the rail there trying to come through. But right in here has room. And now you get a check there from the 1 and the 4 who bounces into the 5 at that point. I think we're going to see a very likely disqualification here, guys.
Let me ask you this, Tom, because we just looked at it again. The 1 gets right up to the 4, and do they actually ever make contact? It was very close.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
I'll go with Andy. They make a little contact.
Oh, yeah.
But to make the 1 the blame of the trip that 2 dozen roses has the 5, I can't buy it. I know he's hitting right-handed. I know they're getting tight to the finish. He's bringing it's just to the wire down close to get very, very competitive.
I hear you,
these
Tom.
stewards here.
I hear you, Tom.
I've watched these stewards here.
I believe the 1 will come down.
Everybody, hold on. We need a pan view. I need a pan view first of all. Can we get a pan view? Because here's the deal. You guys need to discern, you and Andy, who's going to win this race. Is it going to be the 1 or the 5? Now roll the tape. Because regardless right now, I am going to take the side. The 5 horse is going to win this race because he was moving better than the 1.
There's
now,
no way
this is me looking at the replay. So let's look at the replay. And you say now, if the 5 is not through that hole and going to win this race before he gets bumped. Right here, he hits the rail, but he is winning this race right here. He's going to win the race until he hits the rail again.
I'm going to tell you, I disagree completely with you, Tom. I believe this horse is definitely coming down. And I'll tell you something, John Velasquez, he's got a lot of courage going up in that hole
I agree,
down in there. I hear what you're saying, Tom, but I believe this horse hit the 4 at a very inopportune moment, and the 4 bounced into the 5 and cost the 5 the race.
So here's the point I'm going to make, Andy, and you're around here a lot more than I am, but I watch these stewards here. I just don't think that they're going to take the 1 down because I don't think he actually causes that much of a problem and makes it that much tighter for 2 dozen roses to 5.
I'm going to say something else, Tom. I think that the 1 gets taken down for bouncing into the 4. It's a tight finish, and he bumps into that horse. I think the 1 goes down to 3rd in here. I think the finish is going to be 5-4-1 after the inquiry's over.
And I'm calling no change, so let's see what happens.
Paul, want to weigh in?
Hey, let's bring one other thing up. When these jocks get on the phone, the ones that can talk their story the best will have a lot of influence with these stewards. The stewards are watching the tape. They've got a view, and now they're going to ask the riders some questions.
John Velasquez
and the ones
will
that
be
can talk
the
the
winner
best
if that's the case.
will definitely get his way oftentimes in the steward stand.
Yeah, and here's the thing, Tom. As a great line to my cousin Vinny, does this hold water after the 5 bumped into the rail first? Are the stewards going to think, okay, this horse already shied away from the rail again and then shied away from the 4?
Is that going to be Joe Pesci or Fred Gwynn?
Well, Andy, real quick, let me jump in. So you see the 1 here, and Junior Alvarado, he goes to that right-handed stick.
Yeah, look, he's making it tight.
And he comes in about, what, 2.5, 3 paths?
Well, he comes in for sure.
So does it dramatic how far he drift in?
Look, when I watched it live, I thought the fault laid with the 4 horse, Shanghai Bonnie. I understand what Andy's saying. If I'm the steward stand, this result stays the same.
I couldn't disagree more, but one of us will agree with the stewards and one of us won't.
Let's check in with Maggie Wolfendale. She had a chance to talk to John Velasquez.
That's right, and arguably the veteran rider, and obviously he's been involved in many of these situations in the past, and yes, he does benefit if they take this horse down, but he said, in my opinion, it should definitely come down. He said, I'm lucky to even stay on her. The fact that he was knocked into the rail so badly, we have to wait till it's official to be able to talk to him, but that's what he told me here, guys. And look, how long has Johnny V been in this game? We'll see what happens.
He's the all-time leading rider here in the history of this racetrack, and they made a change.
They did indeed.
5 horse put up for the victory, so 5-4-1-6. New order of finish, and you knew if the 1 was coming down, would wind up be placed 3rd.
Yeah, no, he had to go behind both of them if they're going to place it down. Well, Andy?
Serling 3,
your
Amos
circuit.
nothing.
You're right.
So 7-2 here, 2 dozen roses, and initially 2 dozen roses did duck out a little bit from the fence, but then it certainly got worse when there was some contact.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, look, the horse's chances to win get compromised 100%. Yes, 2 Dozen Roses chances got compromised. Where the blame lays is what we're discussing here. Andy and the stewards think the blame lays with the one. It just hit the wire.
So Todd Pletcher, John Velasquez, Errol Ventures moved up to victory via disqualification.
How about this one, Greg? Todd Pletcher's 2 dirt maiden 2-year-old wins have both been via disqualification.
That's shocking from a trainer who comes here with so much depth with his 2-year-olds each and every summer.
No, it is indeed. But, you know, this year is a different year. He's had a lot of trouble out of the gate with his young horses. Steve Asmussen has been much more prominent with his 2-year-olds up here than he has in the past. And I think the same is to be said about Chad Brown. He's had a really good season with his debuting horses.
Sometimes, though, can something like this, when you get a little help, you get pushed up and you get put in the winner's circle, can that turn things around?
Oh, of course. I mean, look, horse racing is all about the thing that moves you up, you know, the thing that gets you going. Maybe 2 Dozen Roses win today does just that for the Pletcher barn.
So long on the turf first time out, and then an eventful trip here, shortening up, moving to the dirt, and getting a win via disqualification. You will take them any way you can get them here at this meet at Saratoga. It is so difficult to win here. $9.40 for the win. Let's go downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
Here with winning conditioner Todd Pletcher with 2 Dozen Roses. Todd, some anxious moments there. You got to give Johnny a little credit for being that brave as well.
Yeah, it looked like I thought he might tip out at the top of the stretch, and he decided to stay inside, and it looked like there was a pretty good opening there for a little while, but it certainly closed down. It looked like she was a little shy going in there the first time, and then thought just when she put her head in front when she got that contact, and actually she was lucky to stay on her feet, and Johnny was lucky to stay on her back.
It was athleticism at its finest. But Todd, you once again pad your stat for this move, running horses on the turf first time out, switching them to the dirt. Talk about the thinking behind debuting her on the turf first time.
I just wanted to keep everyone guessing. I didn't want them to know what I was doing. No, you know, she seemed like a filly that was going to need a little more ground, and so I didn't think sprinting her 5.5 first time out would do her any good. Got a race under her belt, and it seemed to wake her up, and, you know, I thought her subsequent breezes on the dirt were much better, so I think that experience paid off a lot today.
Definitely sharp here. Congratulations with 2 Dozen Roses, Todd.
Thank you.
All right, standing by with Johnny V is Gabby Gaudet.
Johnny, obviously the stewards making that change here. Talk us through the stretch run and what that experience was like.
Well, you know, when the horse in front started drifting, I took the chance to get inside there. I mean, at first when I was trying to get in there, she was a little shy, but once she got there, she shot through there pretty quickly. But the other horse in the outside touched the horse in the middle. Just when I was passing the horse in the middle, and bounces right up the rail, and she just got her on balance, and we were lucky to stay up.
How did you stay on? I mean, she went sideways.
It was pretty bad, though. You know, I thought she was gone, and I thought I was going to go after her, though, you know. She just got back up, and that's it. She helped me up to stay there.
Johnny, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Greg, back to you. As you can hear from Johnny Velasquez, interesting moment there, deep stretch.
And we can't even put ourselves in that position to what that must feel like going that fast down the lane in tight quarters, getting bounced around on a 1,000-pound thoroughbred.
Look, that is some athleticism by 2 Dozen Roses. I mean, she's completely knocked off stride and hit sideways. I had a rider tell me one time, they don't want to fall down any more than you want them to fall down. So great athleticism. And look, you know, the best horse in the race won. If she has a clean trip, she's getting up.
So 2 Dozen Roses via disqualification will get her maiden breaking victory. A daughter of course that won a Kentucky Derby for Todd Pletcher. Super Savers. We take a look at the Naira Bets late pick 5 follow along. So we should talk winning by a narrow margin back in the first leg of the sequence in here. And then 2 Dozen Roses moved up via DQ, $9.40. And this was a horse, by the way, who was 10-1 morning line.
Bet down. And look, statistics don't lie, whether it's horse racing or, you know, you're playing Texas Hold'em. Stats tell you how you should play the game. And the stats here said Todd Pletcher is very live with this horse coming off the grass to the dirt.
8th race, and we have a very competitive field lined up in the 7-furlong sprint. Allowance optional claiming field here. Behavioral Bias, trained by Al Stahl. A lot of seconds for this horse. Been second in 6 of 12 career starts.
Yeah, blinkers on last time, showed really good speed. And the question is, can this horse go to the front and keep going?
course, Wonderful Light coming into this race for Michelle Nevin. Going to get a lot of attention as well. And the horse that we talked about in the open of the show, Favorable Outcome, coming out of a sprint race at Belmont facing two of the top sprinters in the country. Can that horse live up to expectations? Just 3 for 11 so far at this point in his career. Hasn't had that big signature win yet.
Right, but maybe this is where it happens. Second in this condition, 2 back. When you get to this level of allowance races, these what we call 3 other than allowance races, you're looking at future stake horses out of this race and horses that could probably be competitive in stakes right now. But the purse money is so good here, why wouldn't you try something a little easier?
Well, of course, Saturday, it was all about 3-year-old fillies. It was Alabama Day here at Saratoga. 1.25 miles at the premier race of the meet for the 3-year-old fillies. Let's take a look at what happened.
They're off in the Alabama. Auspicious Babe missed the break by just a bit. She's a Julie goes out to the front, along with Figuerella's Queen and Tuck Veuve to Me. So it's these 3 to set the pace in the Alabama, with Coach Rocks behind them running in 4th. Piedi Bianchi is 5th, and Mike Smith has Midnight Bijou well off the pace here. She's a good 8 lengths behind in the race to that first turn. Then it's 2.5 lengths more to Auspicious Babe, who's second last, and late running Eskimo Kisses just lingering along in the back. But that pace is fast. 22.52 was the opening quarter mile here. Talk Veuve to Me on top. Onto the backstretch in front by 1.5 lengths in the Alabama. She's a Julia's 2nd, Figuerella's Queen on the outside 3rd. Piedi Bianchi is 4th. Coach Rocks up running in 5th position here, 4 lengths off the lead. 3 lengths more back to Midnight Bijou. And then comes Auspicious Babe to the inside. Eskimo Kisses trails through a 46.79, demanding half mile. Talk Veuve to Me up the backstretch in front by 1.5 lengths over She's a Julie. And then comes Coach Rocks, Piedi Bianchi, and a 3-wide Figuerella's Queen. And then Midnight Bijou, she's a bit closer now. She's 6 lengths off the lead at the half-mile pole and beginning her run. Then comes Auspicious Babe and Eskimo Kisses. 3/4, 111.86 seconds. And it is Julien Leparoux and Talk Veuve to Me on top as they make their way into the far turn. She's a Julia's 2nd, and Midnight Bijou is looming large now. She's up there running in 3rd and going 3 wide. And right behind her, Eskimo Kisses makes her run. Then Coach Rocks on the inside. They're into the stretch. Talk Veuve to Me turns for home in front in the Alabama. Midnight Bijou on the outside. Eskimo Kisses is coming on too. She's a Julia's 4th. Eskimo Kisses strikes the front with a furlong to run and starts to pull away. And then it's Talk Veuve to Me, followed by Midnight Bijou on the outside, and She's a Julie. But it's Eskimo Kisses and Jose Ortiz in the Alabama.
Eskimo Kisses by 6.5 furlongs. Sorry, 6.5 lengths in the Alabama. And this ride reminded me a little bit of Gronkowski in the Belmont, except took the overland route and she finished the job.
No, she did indeed, and I think it had a lot to do with how fast they went early in this race. Talk Veuve to Me, that's her going to the lead right now and setting just a pace that's not sustainable. It can kind of change everybody's game plan when that happens and put people in different positions. Midnight Bijou did not show up here, and those are the top 2 favorites. So when you combine that pace with the distance of 1.25 miles, it's about who can get the distance and who can finish up. No question about it. As you're watching our winner there make this move around the field and through horses, and then comes out to win drawing away.
Well, guys, Kenny McPeak said he felt like we were a winner at the half-mile pole with this pace, and it certainly helped his filly.
Yeah, I'm going to say, Paul and I were watching with Paul. Paul picked up on it early as well, but as you noted, Paul, as we were watching, this great move by Jose Ortiz, who was making the 3-wide move to cut over the inside and save the ground.
Yeah, he saved all the ground. And you know what? It's a tough race to figure out who ran second best in here. I get it with the breakneck race, but She's a Julie. For her to re-rally, because if you look at the beginning of the race, she broke on top, and then the 8 took the lead, and then she was able to hold off Midnight Bijou and outrun Talk Veuve to Me at the end. Listen, Eskimo Kisses blew him away because she got the pace. The floor was gutty.
But to be fair, it didn't matter. She won so easily that the setup obviously helped her and the ride helped, but she was so much the best, didn't matter. I agree. I think Talk Veuve for me, as well as the 4-horse whose name escapes me at this point, ran the best races actually behind the winner. Midnight Bijou, and Tom nailed it before the race. You did get something right yesterday, Tom. She struggled with the distance.
Well, that was the big quote. We never know who's going to get 1.25 miles in this race. Eskimo Kisses, certainly the pace played a big part in the reason that she was able to look so strong in that race. But can't take anything away from her. That's a big win.
Oh, big win in one of the most prestigious 3-year-old filly races in the country. The Alabama, I mean, I only put it next to the Kentucky Oaks as the top 2 race of the year for 3-year-old fillies.
Grade 1 victory for Kenny McPeak. He said we're hoping they'd ignore us a little bit, and they did. She goes off at 9-1. Here he is after the victory.
She's doing great, you know. She didn't have to finish against anything, so she cruised home. But, you know, it was a great victory, and I'm really proud of her. Early in the race, I was a little concerned that she was too far back, but the fractions were so fast that, you know, you had to think, okay, this is kind of setting up for us. But at about the half-mile pole, I saw she was just gaining ground, and he hadn't really let her out. And when they started to straighten up, he still hadn't let her out. And it was pretty much, okay, we got this. I mean, it really set up well for her running style. It suited her. The pace of the race suited her. And she just ran just a bang-up race. I mean, her running style is very specific. You've got to sit and wait. You've got to let her do a lot of the work. And then when they start to finish, you've got to, like, let her out at the last portion or last part of the race. I mean, it's kind of like a slingshot ride where you want to wait until you get close and cut her loose at the last minute.
So let's take a look at the 3-year-old filly division. Monomoy Girl briefly thought about the Alabama after she was so impressive with the Coaching Club American Oaks. We'll see here next at the Cotillion at Parks. Wonder Gadot, we're going to see against the boys in the Travers. What does Eskimo Kisses win, Tom, mean to this division?
Well, I think it solidifies Monomoy Girl as the division leader and probably the champion at the end of the year. The only way that can change is not only if Wonder Godot can beat the boys in the Travers next week, but then she's going to have to beat Monomoy Girl in a heads-up battle to have any consideration as the top horse, the top 3-year-old filly.
Mike Smith, as far as Midnight Bisou said, she moves a lot better over that Belmont surface. He also thought 1.25 miles, maybe just a little bit beyond her scope.
Makes sense.
Saratoga Live, it's brought to you each and every day by Claiborne Farm. We're going to take a quick break in the action. We'll be back with more coming up, including a look ahead to the Travers. Oh, that's a future rider we got right there. He's got all the moves down. We'll be back. Travers Talk and the Philly coming up.
Kentucky Derby winner Orb was the leading freshman sales sire of weanlings, yearlings, and 2-year-olds. On the track, his runners have scored on both dirt and turf, including stakes winners Autumn Warrior and Orvolution, stakes performer Scrapper, and TBN rising star Explorer. In the sales ring, his progeny continue to sell well beyond his stud fee, including the $1 million co-sale topper at Saratoga, classic winner, classic pedigree, or standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
How about a little morning Saratoga at Saratoga? How's your downward dog, Tom?
It's non-existent, but I'm impressed with those biceps there. I'm looking at right there. Those are bigger than Paul's.
How about the warrior pose? Where's the warrior pose?
Dude, you're into this. You know this.
I've done it a couple times. It is tough.
I don't doubt that. I see when they come out of there, everybody's sweaty is sweaty, so I mean, it must be a big go. I can tell you that.
When I get back to LA, it's my goal, get back in shape. When I'm at Saratoga, it's just about eating out. So I missed Saratoga earlier this morning. We have race 8 coming up here. Favorable outcome, behavioral bias, wonderful light, just a few that we've talked about. There are many more intriguing storylines. We are going to check in with Maggie Wolfendale for a paddock report brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing Curlin for $150,000.
Thanks, Greg. And we'll take a look at your current favorite in number 3, Behavioral Bias, who is a horse that I really was excited to show the piece of equipment that he's brought over in, but now he has it off. He's actually brought over in an iron halter. So what that is a piece of leather attached to a iron ring that goes around the horse's nose, and then just a snap lead shank is attached to the front of it. And really, it is to provide control, but it's for a horse that you can't necessarily get a lip chain on or anything more severe. So it does a trick with Behavioral Bias. I will say that while he was very sharp for his turn back in distance in his last start back here on opening weekend, he's a little more quiet here today. And 2, Alstall has cut his blinkers back a bit here. He went from a 3/4 cup to just a cheater blinker. So there's that. But still, if they want to use and employ that speed, I would say do so, because there's not as if there is an abundance of speed here on paper. Moving on to the long layoff horse, and that's number 7, Breaking Lucky. It's been 11 months since we've seen him, and he'll make his first start here for George Weaver. Now, as we kind of presume, this is likely just a stepping stone. He does look fantastic. I really can't fault this horse whatsoever in the fitness and just overall health department. But yes, 7 furlongs does feel like it's a little bit on the shorter side for this horse, who's just that kind of long, rangy, lumbering type of animal. So we'll see. I like him here. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if he runs well. And then finally is Petrov, a horse who is every time, at least his last 3 wins, when he's been able to sprint in an allowance race or an optional claimer, he's won. But I think he is facing probably a little bit more of a talented field this time around. But still, he drops out of the Grade 1 Vanderbilt, which Imperial Hint was ultra impressive that day. And I noted that Petrov looked better than ever, and I still feel that same way here today. Now, the lack of what looks to be on paper early speed might play against him, but Petrov can be very competitive here, and he's a horse at a price that I would definitely throw in. Guys?
All right, Maggie, thanks. Yeah, Petrov actually has won at Saratoga at 7 furlongs. That's where he got through his entry-level allowance condition last summer.
And it was a turn back in distance, and one well needed, because after that, everybody learned that Petrov was a one-turn horse. Having a little trouble getting this next condition, but making a big drop in class.
Well, John Velasquez, he had an eventful trip in the last race, got up for the victory. He'll be on board the 5-8 Town coming up in this spot. Let's send it downstairs to Andy and Paul.
This is a very, very interesting race, and this is really a stakes allowance race, but it's actually a stakes race. It's like a grade 2, grade 3 allowance. Behavioral Bias ran great last time out. I mean, the pace, he was sort of controlling. It was a fast pace, but it's like he was control of that race, and I felt like he shouldn't have lost, but he still ran extremely well, and a repeat of that race, Paul, would make him very tough.
Would make him very tough, yeah. Hey, listen, when you're clicking 108, I don't care how fast the track is or what track you're running at. It was the first time he put on blinkers, and wow, he showed some blazing speed, and he didn't really back up. I think it was more of the other horse running him down.
I don't disagree. Now, the one favorable outcome, he seems to get a little leg weary when he sees there's a grade next to the race, because he ran a race 2 back, and he really ran great behind Recruiting Ready, who was loose in the lead that day and has some talent, and ran a 102 Beyer speed figure. That's a performance that could easily land him in the winner's circle here, but when he gets to grade stakes horses, he seems to get nervous and he can't perform.
Yeah, it's really weird, right? I mean, his last time, how can you even be 8 wide in a 6-horse field? It's crazy, right?
He bore out in the stretch.
He
it wasn't that wide in the turn.
So
he came out in the
now
stretch.
if he's like causing his own problems? Because younger in his career, he looked like he was going to be a superstar after the swale.
I agree, and Chad Brown had high hopes for him and hasn't panned out. The 4 Wonderful Light is my choice here. I'm a big fan of this horse. I felt he should have won his last race when Jose Ortiz unwisely sort of sent him up the rail, and I like that Michelle Nevin said they're going to use his natural speed to get good position here.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he does have tactical speed. He's shown that he can go gate to wire. This horse got a buyer over 100. He's also shown that he can rate in a shortest field. Yeah, he's got versatility. He's never missed the board. That's the one thing about the 3 and the 4 in here. You're getting good form from both favorites.
They are very reliable horses. Life in Shambles, I wonder the 2 Life in Shambles, if 7 Furlong's not a bit far for him, but I'm not leaving Jason Service off the claim off my tickets, Paul.
How's he doing off that claim? 40%. That is unbelievable in any sport, even some of the guys that shoot free throws.
I'll tell you something as we head back upstairs. Maggie mentions Petrov, who's run good races. Breaking Lucky, I mean, he almost won the Woodward here 2 years ago. So he does off a layoff. This is a sensational race.
Every horse, there's an intriguing storyline just about in this entire field as we have a post parade here coming up shortly. But right now, favoritism to Al Stall's Behavioral Bias, who's going to be trying this Saratoga meeting again for the second time here. He ran on opening weekend at this 7 furlong trip, and he ran very good.
He did indeed. And I think Gabby Gaudette asked a great question of Michelle Nevin as it pertained to her horse, Wonderful Light, saying he's going to be closer today. It's going to be hard for Behavioral Bias to get a clear lead if that happens.
Quick look at Tom Durkin right there, the legendary former voice of New York racing for so long. He provided us with so many tremendous calls over the years, and then he steps aside, and Larry Colmus gets to call 2 Triple Crown winners.
Yeah, and so he has another job, Mr. Durkin does. And
yes,
he does very good at it over at the Hall of Fame Museum.
Right across the street, you can catch a tour of the Hall of Fame with Mr. Durkin most mornings. I want to say it's from 11 to 12 or so. So get over there if you can and catch that tour with Mr. Durkin as we start off our post-parade here. Here's favorable outcome. Chad Brown, Javier Castellano for Klarovich Stables.
A pivotal race for a horse who has shown stakes potential in the past, but his recent effort was not good.
Life in Shambles, hunch play for the guys downstairs here off the claim for Jason Service.
1 for 15 lifetime, and hopefully Jason Service can get this horse out of Shambles.
Current favorite, 5-2 on Behavioral Bias for Al Stall with Junior Alvarado.
I think strictly based on last race performances, he is the one to beat.
Wonderful Light, we'll see next. Trained by Michelle Nevin, JMS Stable, and Manny Franco.
Yeah, this one bred by Samantha Siegel. She's a fan of the show. And this one's never missed the board, this 4-year-old colt by Tiz Wonderful.
8-Town is a 3-year-old reeled off 3 consecutive victories at one point for Brian Lynch.
He's the rank outsider in here, and he's been great. He's hit the board in graded stakes.
13-1. There's John Velasquez looking to go back-to-back here after that eventful trip back in race 7 to kick off the late pick 4. Petrov, the 6, coming out of the Grade 1 Vanderbilt here at Saratoga for Ron Moquette.
I just see maybe if this horse can pick up pieces, maybe. I don't know why he's getting bet at 6-1, but somebody likes him.
And Breaking Lucky, the last here in our field. Luis Saez aboard for George Weaver. Have not seen him on the racetrack since September of last year.
He has finished 3rd in the Whitney and 4th in the Woodward here at longer distances. This looks like a prep for longer distance races, but this horse has a ton of talent.
Imagine that. Hitting the board a couple of times in grade 1s against Gunrunner last year at this meet. Now we see him back sprinting at 7/8. So that is your field here for the 8th race coming up. Can Chad Brown's favorable outcome get back to the winner's circle? Haven't seen him there since November 2017. We'll be back with more right after this.
Once again, among the world's leading sires of stakes horses and graded stakes horses, Warfront has sired 8 champions and 8 millionaires. Recent Grade 1 winners include European champion U.S. Navy Flag and Lancaster Bomber, plus an ever-growing list of 2018 graded stakes winners. In the sales ring, his yearlings continue to bring prices well over $1 million. International Super Sire Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
How do New York breds perform? They win in world-class company. From Grade 1 races in Dubai, where New York-sired New York bred Mind Your Biscuits won the Golden Shaheen for a second time, to Belmont adding to his status as the richest New York bred with a close second in the Met Mile. The Belmont Festival saw 2 more New York breds become millionaires, 4-star Crook in the New York Stakes, and world record-setter Disco Partner with a repeat victory in the Jaipur. New York breds, get with the program.
Back on Saratoga Live, and I have got to get here during this stay at Saratoga. The Outer Gardens, they are free and open to the public year-round from dawn to dusk, with the exception of Traverse Day. So many tremendous writers and artists have resided there over the years. A Pulitzer Prize winner as well. A rich, rich history at Yaddo, and you can check out everything going on around town here. It's not just about the racetrack at Saratoga Springs. Go to SaratogaVisit.com to see all you can do. And I treated some of our colleagues here on the show, in front of the camera and behind the scenes, to some of the tremendous mineral water here that Saratoga Springs is known for. They were not fans.
Sorry to hear that.
No, but it's very good for you. Highly recommend it. Got to get used to the flavor at first.
I'll keep that in mind. I'm more interested in what's happening around Saratoga. How about Luke Bryant tonight at SPAC?
Yeah,
Are you a fan?
I'm a huge fan. You have tickets?
No, I do not.
Thanks, pal.
Yeah.
8th at Saratoga. It is coming up in 4 minutes here, and we're taking a look here at behavioral bias. This is our 5-2 favorite. You think control things here in the front end?
I did before we heard the interview with Michelle Nevin, and I get it. Look, Wonderful Light, her best chance to win is to challenge behavioral bias early on in this race, and it will be behavioral bias's perhaps undoing. And if that favorable pace sets up, then it'll be favorable for favorable outcome, the one that's going to sit off these 2 horses. But, you know, on paper, the 3 makes the lead here, and I think keeps going.
All right, let's check in with Maggie Wolfendale now for more on the 8th.
Thanks, Greg. And as I had mentioned in the paddock, behavioral bias a little bit more on the quiet side today relative to his first start back here in Saratoga on July 21st. Out here on the track, same deal. They are trying to keep him more quiet. I'm supposing to conserve a little more energy, but does that indicate that he's going to be able to secure the lead here again? We'll see. He probably will. But then again, maybe number 2, Life in Shambles, might have a little bit to say about that, going to 7/8 here. I will say that first start off the bench last time, he's a heavy horse. He is about the heaviest bodied horse that we have running here. He looks more like a draft than he does a thoroughbred. Definitely some warm blood running through his veins. But he's that stuffier type. I thought his last race back to the track was promising, and he does look more fit here. Now, the horse that was just moving really, really nicely out here is number 4, Wonderful Light. And he was trotting like almost like a pacer. I mean, his feet were hardly touching the ground. And as Andy said, he's a horse that, you know, we've been fans of. I really wish he did win in his last start. But once again, he's done nothing wrong out here for me to fault him. We'll see if he can turn the tables here once again and take down this field. As Greg, will throw it back up to you on the roof.
Maggie, thanks. Yeah, back to Wonderful Light, the 4, for just a moment. I mean, when he doesn't win, I mean, he is right there. He is always in the mix. Just a very honest horse.
Yeah, 7 lifetime starts, never been worse than 3rd in all 7 starts. it's just a question to me of how this race is going to set up. Because on paper, it looks like the 3 Behavioral Bias is going to control things on the front end.
And that is who Maggie was talking about. Was on the front end last time out here at Saratoga, going 7/8 with more on the 3. Let's go to Gabby Gaudette.
Here with Miss Evelyn Benoit with Britland Stable, who sends out Behavioral Bias. But Evelyn, you were just talking to me a little bit about your travel schedule. Where have you been, and are you tired?
I'm pretty tired, but Saratoga's waking me up, and having a horse in this race with great horses out here in New York, it's waking me up quick. I was in Lafayette, Louisiana with all the Evangeline Down trainers and jockeys who could make it out after the races. My son performed there at the new Rock and Bow. And then last night in New Orleans, Louisiana, they did a big concert. My son and my grandson, who are both really great musicians, at the House of Blues. And that was all night till we got to the airport.
Definitely an intense travel schedule, but you've had so many successful horses, especially with Alstall, one of them being Star Guitar. I was reminiscing, I was looking at his form, 24 for 30 wins. How much did you love that horse, or do you love that horse and get to see his babies on track?
I love that horse, and everyone who knows me knows I do. He is just outstanding, never was sick, never gave us any trouble, no vet bills, and gave us 100% every time. Still doing it. He loves his job, and his babies are phenomenal, and you will be hearing a lot about him in the future.
They really are. And quick thoughts on Behavioral Bias. I mean, this is a horse that just always shows up.
Always, and I hope today he does, and he gives you your money's worth. He really does. A thrill of a life.
Thank you so much for joining us here today, Evelyn.
Thank you. I'm loving to be here.
All right. She's really enjoying herself up here in the boxes, getting ready to watch her horse run here, Greg.
Well, mentioned Star Guitar, one of the most significant Louisiana-bred racehorses of all time in our sport. He could run.
Yeah, not just any son, by the way, that's playing in Lafayette, Louisiana. We're talking about Tab Benoit, who's received numerous awards as a blues player, singer, and guitar player.
Well, Behavioral Bias for Britland Stable, still the 5-2 favorite. Trying to pick up the 4th win here of his career, the son of Shackelford, in a very competitive race. Petrov, the 6, coming out of a Grade 1, Breaking Lucky, the 7. We haven't seen him in almost a year. He comes out of a Grade 1, faced Gunrunner on a couple of occasions here last summer, and, of course, favorable outcome on the rail for Chad Brown, coming out of a Grade 2, facing 2 of the top sprinters in the country last start. A wide open 8th race, but it is the 3 for Alstall Behavioral Bias. The one to beat. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York Racing for the call, Larry Colmus.
Petrov moving into the starting gate now. Will be followed by Breaking Lucky, who will be the last to load here. Breaking Lucky coming up. And goes in. They're all in line. They're off. Petrov had a very good start. And it's Petrov to the early lead with Breaking Lucky, Life in Shambles, favorable outcome, and 8-Town right up there too. Wonderful Light and Behavioral Bias at the back of the pack. Petrov quick out of the gate, leads 3/4 of a length. Breaking Lucky on the outside is second, 8-Town is third, favorable outcome, 4th along the rail. Wonderful Light follows in 5th. 4 lengths to make up after an opening quarter mile in 22.63 seconds. And then it's Life in Shambles on the inside of Behavioral Bias, heading to the half-mile pole. 5 lengths from top to bottom. Petrov leads them along here a half a length. Breaking Lucky on the outside, pressing in second. Favorable outcome, 8-Town and Wonderful Light across the track right behind them. Behavioral Bias is second last on the outside of Life in Shambles in a wide open affair around the far turn. 45.01, a sharp half mile for Petrov, who takes him to the top of the stretch in the clear here. Getting away a length and a half to Breaking Lucky. Favorable outcome, cuts the corner in third. And then it's Wonderful Light, Behavioral Bias on the far outside, and 8-Town, Petrov. Still going strong with a furlong to run. Jose Ortiz trying to get another 8 from Petrov. A 2-length lead on favorable outcome. Then Breaking Lucky, Life in Shambles, and on the far outside, Behavioral Bias. Petrov takes them all the way. Won it by 2.5 lengths. It was tight for second. It looked like favorable outcome. Edged out Breaking Lucky. Behavioral Bias was 4th in 1:22.01.
Exiting a Grade 1 here at the meet. Petrov able to get to the front early, and he did not come back.
And how crazy was that opening quarter with the 6-horse Petrov on the lead and Breaking Lucky alongside of him? You knew when you saw that, and Behavioral Bias in last, that you were looking at a race that was going very, very slow up front. Petrov was able to hold off all challengers. Very strange opening quarter of a mile where these horses were placed.
I agree, Tom. You know, this was a race that if somebody told you that's the way it was going to be run, nobody would have believed it. I don't think anybody had significant trouble at the start, but I'll tell you something. The Petrov ball broke very sharply, maybe a little slow by the 3, but Jose Ortiz had a plan here.
Yeah, listen, he had a plan, Jose Ortiz. And, Greg, we've been talking about Imperial Hint might be the best sprinter. XY Jet, Gabby. Petrov, they bet this horse early and knew it.
So Petrov, 9-1. Jose Ortiz, aggressive, intent on getting to the front. 6-1-7-3 finish. Let's check in with Gabby Gaudet.
Here with winning trainer Ron Moquette. And Ron, I mean, there was a lot of horses in here that showed speed, but he went right to the front today.
Yeah, I was concerned early, but I know my jock knows this horse, and I know how well he's been doing, so I was pretty confident. Probably more confident I should have been, but we'll take it.
What kind of gave you that confidence?
He's just been training so well. I done a poor job of getting him ready for this first race up here. First off, I did a poor job in entering. He was entered against the likes of Imperial Hint and some of those, and he needed a shot to rebuild some confidence, and I was happy to return to the scene of the crime where he ran his best race.
All right, well, congratulations as we check in with Maggie Wolfendale, who's standing by with Jose Ortiz.
Actually riding by with Jose Ortiz here, guys, and sadly, I'm going to report that Behavioral Bias is going to get a ride home on the horse ambulance here, but it was all about Petrov here. And Jose, when this horse broke okay and nobody else went, you had a plan. It was like plan B, just go to the lead.
Yeah, he broke really sharp, and when the other speed didn't win, obviously I take the lead. I think I set pretty control of action for him, and when I asked it to go, he was there for me all the time.
I was going to say, looking at his form, when he doesn't run in a graded stake, he wins when he sprints. How confident were you heading into this one?
I really like him today. Plus, Ron Moquette last 2 runs have been impressive. He's doing very good on the meet, and I haven't been on this horse before. I rode him in Oakland on the Derby preps. Yeah, but I rode him on the Derby preps out of Auckland, and I knew he was a better sprinter than a miler, and as soon as he got back to sprint, he started showing off that he was a better horse going short, and I'm just glad he showed up today.
And Jose, you'll be aboard the Chad Brown trainee, the likely favorite in the next. Adding blinkers today, what can you say about that decision?
Well, I think it's good. He kind of needed it. It's a little slow horse in the first part of the race, and I think the blinker will help him to be a little bit closer, and I think he will like the distance. Mile and 316 be perfect for him.
Couldn't agree with you more, Jose. Congratulations. Well done here with Petrov.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, guys. Well, Petrov will return to the winner's circle once again, a winner here at the Spa.
Oh, this is a horse that early last year they had big plans for this horse. And obviously, they still have very high level to put him in a grade 1 here. Ron Moquette says might have overplaced him in that spot, gets more realistic, and gets a win.
Well, I think this is like a lot of young horses. Petrov was on the Derby trail early on. He'd shown some promise going a little bit longer, and they tried to keep him going long. As soon as they went back to one turn, Petrov became the horse he is now.
So Petrov, son of Claiborne sire, Flatter, getting the job done here in race 8. And Jose Ortiz calling his name a lot lately on the show. We'll be back.
Undefeated graded stakes winner on the track, Algorithms was the nation's #1 sire of 2-year-olds in 2017 by percentage of winners. His top runners include multiple graded stakes performer Rich Mommy, winner of the Grade 3 Sugar Swirl, multiple stakes winner and graded stakes performer Recruiting Ready, and stakes winners Taylor Spirit, He Hate Me, and Sunset Ridge. In the ring, his yearlings have brought prices up to $220,000. Algorithms, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NyraBets.com.
Bayern turning for home in front. Host of New York on the outside. California Chrome is third. Shared Belief laboring back there in fifth. 1 furlong to run. Bayern, host of New York. California Chrome on the outside. The three of them come to the wire. Bayern, host of New York. California Chrome. Here's the finish. Bayern holds on.
Back on Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2 and other regional networks across the country. Thanks for spending part of your Sunday with us. It was Petrov getting the job done here, firing to the front. Not many expected that, and just kept on going. $21.40 for Ron Moquett, Jose Ortiz, Rialto Racing Stables. Your winning connections, favorable outcome, running second and breaking lucky, who had not been seen on the racetrack since a year ago, September. Hitting the board, running third in here as Petrov heads back to the barn. Let's take a look at the NyraBets late pick 5 follow along. We should talk kicking things off. $13.40, 2 dozen roses. Was 10-1 morning line for Todd Pletcher. Moved up via disqualification. And now our biggest price of the sequence. If you are alive, this is shaping up to be big. Total pool, $186,690 in that NyraBets late pick 5 pool this afternoon. It has become horse racing's best play, and the only way to get involved if you do not reside in the state of New York is to get signed up and started with NyraBets. On Saturdays, if you're the only winning ticket, no matter what the pool size is, you're guaranteed a minimum of $300,000 in your account. We move along. Race 9 coming up next, and we're on the turf. Turf condition listed as good. We're on the Mellon Turf Course, and the rail is out 27 feet this afternoon. Mile and 3/16, allowance optional claiming field, and no surprise here. Chad Brown's admission office just missed by 3 parts of a length in start number 2 after winning first time out in even money favor. Now, blinkers going on this afternoon. Jose Ortiz will be in the irons as he looks to go back to back. We're going to take a break in the action. Fan favorite, gearing up for the Travers. Gronkowski made that huge move in the Belmont. We'll be back.
Visit Rivers Casino and Resort, upstate New York's ultimate entertainment destination, with live table game action and the hottest new slots paying out millions. Book your luxury waterfront room or suite at upstate New York's premier resort, the Landing Hotel at Rivers Casino and Resort.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Back on Saratoga Live, this happened yesterday. Rushing Fall, Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf winner, coming off the first defeat of her career, and she is back.
Look, when you win on the turf by more than, say, a length or two, that is like winning by 10 on the dirt. The turf brings them together. Rushing Falls showed why she was 2-year-old Philly Division champ on the grass last year and winning the Breeders' Cup, and we just saw a look at the future for this fall coming up.
Yeah, I think we probably won't see her again until the QE2 at Keeneland in late October. Take a little more time between races, but this performance stamps her as way the horse to beat.
I'm not going
to
put her in the same league, but there's a Chad Brown filly named Lady Eli, and I think she's taken those steps towards her.
I think she didn't. She took the step forward this year that New Money Honey in some ways didn't, even though she had the big win in the Belmont Oaks.
Yeah, the race that Andy mentioned, or potentially train her up to the Sands Point at Belmont. Those are the couple options they're looking at with Rushing Fall. For Bob Edwards and his family, it has been an incredible start after having very little time in this game of horse racing. It all started here in Saratoga. In each of the last couple of years, they have had a 2-year-old champion. Good Magic, of course, going to be running in the Travers this weekend. And Rushing Fall, you just saw come back and now 5 for 6 in her career.
It's 5 Edwards, my wife, myself, and our 3 children, Cassidy, Riley, and Delaney. So my wife's cousin was getting married, and I kind of had to duck out, during the ceremony and get on the phone as Mike was going through the auction, and we ended up buying our first horse, Lucky Bug, and that was 2015. She said, don't buy a horse, and that was never the plan, and I swear my daughter will agree, we didn't have a plan to buy a horse, it just kind of fell in that way.
I thought it was extremely crazy. When he walked out the door that morning with my daughter, I said, don't you dare buy a horse. I just knew in the back of my mind when he grabbed my daughter, who has loved the horses since the time she was 3 years old, there was just something, I just knew something was going to happen, and this was going to be an experience for us with the horses.
Dad this is my chance to get a horse. You've got to go home with a horse today.
Right.
And I know she was telling him no, but I was like, Dad, you got to get this horse.
Yeah.
So kind of just went from there.
So yeah, we roll into kind of town for a family reunion.
Yeah.
And left with a $250,000 horse.
Yeah.
Because he lives for that thrill,
Right.
you know, that excitement, that energy. And she begged us all through her young years to purchase a horse, which we got through all those years of raising her without purchasing any horses. And now everything has changed.
I think that it honestly stemmed because I was such a big horse lover and I wanted one my entire life, and now I have like 70 plus. So I'm like extremely happy. And I do try and take the time to like visit them all, and I always have the treats with me and I give them affection.
We've had a lot of luck early, right? So it doesn't hurt to make it exciting, make it fun. We won 3 Breeders' Cups together in the last, 2 years. Didn't know what the Breeders' Cup really was, going into it. I remember Mary Ryan, saying, Bob, this never happens. This never happens. There's a lot of numbers, as you know, in the sport. It's almost more overwhelming at some level. And you have, the analog and digital side. A lot of the breeders don't care about the numbers. They look at a horse and how it should match up, and they breed that way. And you guys like me who look at the numbers, and then I can kind of have a conference with Mike and defer to him ultimately on if this will work.
He has more energy than anyone I've ever met in my life before. He's got like that Midas touch, you know what I mean? He seems to never fail at anything.
I think a lot does have to do with luck, but we do have a lot of good people working with us, and I know my dad has spent like hours and hours and nights going through this and trying to be the best at the business, which he's got to be the best at everything he does. So I think it does take a lot of knowledge and skill to get where we are, but definitely luck too.
Why did this happen to us? And I can't answer that. We're blessed. I don't know. I can say we're just very fortunate. But I will say that there is a portion of luck involved, but Bob's business concept has always been like, hire the best and you'll get the best.
I bring the luck to the whole equation, right? So skill and smarts, I'm going to defer to Chad or Mike Ryan or Scott Pierce or any Rudy. It could be Brad Cox, whoever, Jimmy Toner, Dave, all the guys that are train my horse. Those guys are the other stuff. I'm just the luck portion of it.
It has been incredible what Bob Edwards and that team have done in just a very short time in the game. They own the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf, New Money Honey, Rushing Fall last couple of years, and of course Good Magic, 2-year-old champion. Incredible success that they have had to this point. Well, our next race, it's coming up on the turf. It's on the Mellon Turf Course. The rail is out, and with more on that, we're going to check in with Gabby Gaudet.
Thanks, Greg. Yes, I'm out here on the turf course, and in terms of the rail settings, they have 3 separate rail settings here at Saratoga. One begins at 9 feet out, the other is 18 feet out, and then 27 feet out, and that's what you're looking at right here with the rail. So it's out as far as it possibly can go. Now, the turf conditions are listed as good, and it's holding up pretty nicely. I've got heels on, and I'm not sinking too much into it, but with the rail out this far, it definitely changes strategy. I was talking to Jose Ortiz, the rider of Admission Office, coming up next, the heavy favorite, and he said that especially with a deep closer like that, the one thing that you want to do from an outside post position is save ground. The difficult thing is being able to angle out and make that run as he does have. He's got that really nice acceleration, but of course, Greg, you can see with the rail being so far out, it creates a really tight turn type of effect, so it makes race riding even more difficult.
Well, it becomes very interesting, Tom, in this race because we have a horse who is positioned outside who should be alone on the lead, and that is the 10-horse Strike for Graham Motion.
Yeah, it's hers to have, and I'm sure they're going to take advantage of that. You read the form, you discuss in the paddock your plans with your rider, in this case, Rajiv Mirage, and the plan is going to be to go and try to slow down and save energy for the end of the race. The question is, at 1 3/16, does inherent talent come into play, and that's where our 9-horse Admission Office could make a difference. But the pace is going to be slow, and it's going to be compromised for the horses that want to close deep because the 10 Strike is our only speed in here.
All right, 8-1 on the board right now. It's time for a paddock report. We're going to check in with Maggie Wolfadale. It's brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing Byron for $15,000.
Thanks, Greg. And kind of the theme of this race, besides the pace, is there's 3 of the 7 horses that are adding blinkers. And actually, all 3 of them are just adding a short cup, or AKA a cheater blinker. And even with admission office, he actually has holes here. So he's really not being changed, his point of view, his vantage, that much at all. I'm sure it's just to kind of get him to focus just a touch more and maybe get into the race a bit more than what he has. He's still a laid-back dude. I mean, here in the paddock, you'd think he's just ready to, take a nap. That's just him. But he looks great here, though I think the 2 horses from the Grand Motion barn may have something to say about that. If you want a horse that already has the experience going a mile and 3/16 or even longer, that's number 5 in here, Nakamura, as he'll add, same thing, cheater blinker as well. And going back to the last time I had seen this guy, which was in May at Belmont, looks as though he's putting on even more flesh, more muscle mass. He's just a big, strong horse, and he is the prototype for a horse that wants to run long on the turf. He just fits the physicality to a T. So I think he's dangerous given the affinity for the distance. Now, his stablemate is Strike, who is the likely pace setter here. We see Strike, he's wearing a hood over his ears. He's worn that in most of his recent starts, or I should say all 3 of his starts for trainer Grand Motion. Last time, he was a little bit more lively here in the paddock, and so he was the pace setter, but I'm sure he's still going to be here. But I think it's also a good thing that he's a little bit more quiet given the extra ground. He looks fantastic in his flesh here, Greg. Both of these Grand Motion horses just look utterly fantastic.
All right, Maggie, thanks. And again, there, a look at the horse who's going to be setting the pace in this race with the rails out, could set up perfectly for Strike. Let's send it downstairs to Andy Serling and Paula Duca.
It is interesting to talk about the pace, and it's very hard to argue against Strike being the likely leader, and he ran very well in his last race. But there's another horse in today's race that I think is going to have something to say about the pace, and I believe will be more forwardly placed. And if we can go to the replay, Cullum Road today, the 1 horse, he was the number 2 last time, and I think we're a little bit late on it, guys. But about an 1/8 of a mile to a 1/4 mile before of this, Cullum Road steadied severely and lost about 3 lengths. Otherwise, he would have been much, much closer. And he was doing a tremendous job, Paul, of rallying through traffic. In my opinion, Cullum Road should have won this race last time. And I think with his rail position and blinkers on, he'll be sitting right behind Strike today.
About right now, he's going to start running like his hair's on fire. It's crazy the way this horse finishes late here, the way he starts lengthening out. He really is exploding late. And you're right, he got backed up and he sort of got put behind horses. Now he's 8-1 today. They put the blinkers on. He's had the blinkers on before, so something that he's used to.
And this is a very big rider change to get Luis Saez, who's a much more aggressive rider, and that trouble he had was severe last time. Now listen, it might all be moot, because the reality is the admission office, deep closer or not, might just be better than these horses.
That is true, and it's Chad, it's Jose Ortiz. They do put the blinkers on, and maybe trying to get him focused because he's lagged in his 2 starts, way behind. And I think Chad maybe have thought going a mile and an 1/8, maybe he needs the blinkers to focus more, and wants more distance.
Well, Chad Brown is a trainer that has a lot of success with blinker changes. He does not do it haphazardly. We had Mary Lou Whitney's here. It's great to see Mary Lou. I'll tell you what, Saratoga would not be the Saratoga it is today if it had not been for Mary Lou Whitney.
Well, I got a chance to meet her earlier this week. There she is with her husband, John Hendrickson, and she has meant so much to this racetrack, so much to this community, and an incredible legacy that she has left and continuing to leave here in this town and this racetrack. Get signed up, get started, play along with Naira Bets. We have our 9th race coming up. You hear the call to post behind us. Here is Sam the Bugler. You know, we talk about the pace of this race, and with the rails out even more, it makes maybe the job for admission office, the 9, the even money favorite, even more difficult, because I know he's putting blinkers on today, but he comes from so far out of it.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? As a trainer, if you're putting blinkers on a horse, and there are 3 trainers doing that in this race, the 1, Cullum Road, and obviously our favorite admission office, as well as the 5 horse, it's because they're not happy with something. And what aren't they happy with? Where their horses are positioned early. They're trying to get them in better position, Greg.
Here is Cullum Road, had that troubled trip Andy was talking about, Mike Maker has this one with the blinkers on today.
This horse improved dramatically first time for Mike Maker. And with a cleaner trip, he is a horse who could be a thorn in the side of the favorite.
Indigo Yankee, he's going to be trying the turf for the first time for Ian Wilkes with Julian Leperoux.
Yeah, the light bulb went on at Churchill and came back right back with a win. And you're right, going to try the turf for the first time. If he can carry that dirt for him, he's got a shot.
Knock Up Mura, an improving son of Animal Kingdom, puts blinkers on for Graham Motion.
I think he's a very interesting player. The one question with him is he might be a little better with more distance.
War Chest, the 7, he finished just behind Admissions Office last time out, trained by Shug McGahee with Manny Franco aboard.
He's gradually improving for one of the best trainers in the game.
Max Velocity, 9-1, his States debut. Came June 16th at Belmont on the turf for Robert Falcone.
Yeah, sir, the wild card horse for the E5 racing we just showed you. First time gelding, has some back form. This is the interesting one, or sort of the wild card. You really don't know what you're getting here.
9-1, you're on the E5 Racing Thoroughbreds runner. Admission Office, even money. Blinkers going on for trainer Chad Brown with Jose Ortiz.
It's tough sometimes to take a short price on a deep closer, but this horse has demonstrated the most talent of anyone in this field.
And the 10 strike for Graham Motion should be setting the pace here with Rajiv Mirage, 7-1 right now.
Yeah, it's a homebred for Stone Farm. And yeah, you're right. Come catch me if you can. And you know, last time this horse showed a little bit of grit, so 7-1 is not a bad price.
That's your field. Even money on Admission Office. Can Jose Ortiz time that move right with a horse who comes from way out of it? Our 9th is next when we return. Stay with us.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a link to the half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Back on Saratoga Live every Sunday during the meet here at Saratoga. Guests could experience an on-track market of numerous food and artisan vendors featuring products made exclusively in the states of New York. Happens from 10:30 to 5 at the Coca-Cola Saratoga Pavilion, again, every Sunday. Always so much going on here. Not just tremendous racing on side at the track, but a lot to take in if you make a visit to this historic racetrack. We have the 9th race here coming up. It's on the turf at 1 mile and 3/16 here. And even money on Admission Office coming up. Fans enjoying their Sunday afternoon. We've had beautiful weather all day long. Don't forget as well, we're back on Monday, 6-day race weeks out here at the spa. As we get close to post, let's check in with Maggie Wolfendale for more.
Come on, buddy. Yeah, out here on the track as we see Admission Office. Sorry, he's looking at me a little funny. you might like Jaeger a little bit. But as far as warm-ups go, all 3 horses, in addition to War Chest, got warm-ups away from the pony. Horse who didn't, your speed. That is Strike, number 10. He has barely gotten out of a jog. And I said, Rajiv, what are you just walking for the warm-up? And he said, come on, Mag, you know I'm going to the lead. So with a horse who has a natural speed of Strike, you don't want to do too much because they're going to naturally put you there. And trying a distance for the first time that's longer than what they've been successful at in the past, you want to conserve the energy. And that's exactly what Rajiv has done here. Now, admission office, it's a little bit of a stinker. As I'll take a look at, he didn't want to go forward once he got with the pony. He just, you know, he's actually obviously got a lot of natural ability, but the head isn't quite in the game. I can't imagine when the head gets in the game what he's going to be. But as I'll take a look at the E5 Racing owned for Rob Falcone here as he comes back as a new gelding, Max Velocity, a horse that debuted in the States going a mile. And to me, while he's on the smaller side, he's actually got a very long body. So that indicates to me more ground would be better. And you know me, I always like a new gelding. Isn't that right, Gabby?
Absolutely, but I did get the chance to catch up with Rob Falcone on Max Velocity and asked him about this horse stretching out to the mile and 3/16 today from the mile last time out. And he said that the way he trains in the morning, it seems like he could train all day, go around and around and around again. So he doesn't think that the distance should be any bit of an issue. In fact, he actually loves him stretching out in distance today. And we were talking a bit about the rail situation, it being out 27 feet today. He said going back to his last race, he was kind of disappointed that Joel took him under a strong hold and took him back off of the pace. But today, now with Javier Castellano in the saddle, they're going to get not so much aggressive, but they're going to let this horse use his natural speed today, Greg.
All right, so we'll see how that plays out from the pace standpoint in here. We know Rajiv wants to go from that outside slot. Rails out are only going to help that runner to the outside post, but will he have any company?
Yeah, that's the deal. Look, admission office is the 9 horse is the best horse in this race. But the pace is a great equalizer of this field. If they go slow and Strike slows it down up front, it makes it very, very hard to close against those easy early fractions. Everyone's got a lot of energy at the end of the race when that happens.
Tom, I have a question for you in general, or for everybody, really. The course is good, and it's good. It's not firm or close to it. I sometimes feel like a pace advantage is mitigated somewhat when the turf has a lot of give in it. Do you ever feel like that?
Yeah, but I would put this caveat on it, Andy. Today's turf course has had great drying out conditions all day long. You could easily see this course play a little different than what it's listed.
I think you guys are all forgetting about the 5 in here, putting the blinkers on. We've not mentioned Nakamura at all. Graham Motion got his win here. I think this horse is going to improve and lands a big rider upgrade.
Oh, I think he's a major player in this race, the number 5 horse, Nakamura. Now, he's not going to be forwardly placed against the other Graham Motion horse in here.
That's true,
but I think he's a horse that can win, Paul. I completely agree with you.
I'm against, you guys, just for the record. Write it down.
Okay, I feel better now.
Well, he's been a horse who's certainly been on the improve. And there's the 5 loading up. Couple of races at Delaware. He's just gotten better and better. And as Paul touched on, that is a massive upgrade on your pilot.
Yeah, look, but coming off a 1.5-mile race and the field that he faced that day wasn't nearly as good as this group here.
There's a look at trainer Ian Wilkes. He's sending out Indigo Yankee, a little intriguing, trying the turf here for the first time.
Look, Ian knows what he's doing, and he's had a lot of good turf horses in his career, a lot of good distance horses. Why can't he be a factor here?
And, of course, John Hendrickson there. Mary Lou Whitney Stables represented with Indigo Yankee. 14-1 for the turf debut for the 4, but it's 4-5. Price just keeps getting lower and lower on admission office. Public not scared away from those rails being out and how far back admission office comes from. That will be intriguing to see, that equipment change as it put this horse a little closer into the game early in this race. We're about to find out. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York Racing for the call, Larry Colmus.
Just trying to get admission office into the starting gate here. He's a bit reluctant to go into the gate at odds of 4-5, but now is in, and that will leave Strike to complete the line. He turns sideways coming up to the gate. And now goes in. They're all in line. They're off. Bounced about there a bit were Warchest and Nakamura at the break as Strike goes out to lead them early from that far outside post, and Strike will be the pace setter. With Max Velocity sitting back and running in second position early on. Warchest is third. Indigo Yankee is fourth on the inside, and then comes Cullum Road. Admission Office second last in the early stages here, with Nakamura at the back of the pack left behind as Strike leads them along here into that first turn. Strike on top, opening up 2.5, ran a quarter in 23.31 seconds. Max Velocity is second. Warchest is third, 6 lengths off of Strike going to the backstretch. Then Indigo Yankee, Admission Office, Cullum Road, and Nakamura strung out 12 lengths from top to bottom onto the backstretch. Rajiv Mirage and Strike lead them along here, continuing up front by 2.5 lengths on Max Velocity. Warchest is closer now and coming up on the outside after a 48.98 half mile. Then Indigo Yankee, Admission Office is just 6 lengths off the lead. Then back to Cullum Road and Nakamura, 9 lengths from front-running Strike, who continues to lead them along up the backstretch by 2.5. Max Velocity is second, Warchest on the outside, third, Indigo Yankee, saving ground for the turn in fourth. Admission Office still back there in fifth and unhurried, 5.5 lengths off the lead, moving for the turn. Then Cullum Road and Nakamura. Strike still the leader. Max Velocity now 3/4 of a length behind. Nakamura circling up on the far outside with Warchest. 4 of them in a line. Admission Office behind them. Indigo Yankee is right there in contention too. It is wide open. Nakamura's made a sweeping move for the lead. Admission Office is closing on the outside. Indigo Yankee tried to find some running room. It hasn't done it yet. Now he'll come to the rail. It is Nakamura, Admission Office on the outside. Cullum Road's coming too and is now third on the inside. Admission Office, Nakamura, and Cullum Road, 1, 2, 3. Admission Office is going to do it. Admission Office over Nakamura. Cullum Road was third and Warchest was fourth.
Admission Office, the heavy favorite at 4-5 for Chad Brown, Amerman Racing, and Jose Ortiz collects another win.
Look, the margin may have been 1 length at the wire, but it was probably going to be a lot more than that if Admission Office had gotten a great trip. Look at her behind horse with that white face, angling out right here. She has sat behind horses looking for a place to go, all ready for an 1/8 of a mile. She's going to make a run here, get down a very well-ridden and good horse in Nakamura. Hats off to you guys downstairs. But the best horse, by far, despite the margin of victory, Admission Office.
I thought this was a sensational ride by Jose Ortiz, because when Irad Ortiz decided with Nakamura, I can't wait, and Paul had commented to me, Irad is waiting for his brother to move in the backstretch, and he said, I can't wait anymore, and he went, and Jose said, you know what, I'm not going to let him force my hand. I'm going to let Nakamura make that 4-wide move, sit tight behind the 2-path and angle out, and I think that really helped make the difference, Paul.
Yeah, you're right. He slingshotted off his brother, and you're right. You know, Irad had so much horse and Nakamura on the backside. Nakamura was on the bit where relaxation was going on with Admission Office. So what happened is when the 5 went around him, I'm like, okay, this race is over. But no, he slingshotted right by him. Both these horses ran giant, but yeah, the brothers were playing cat and mouse.
Admission Office wins at 4-5. Another victory for the man with Maggie Wolfendale on horseback.
Yep, 2 for 2 with me here today, Jose. And Admission Office, the last move was the winning one, Jose, and he just responds. He has that late kick.
Yeah, he does. Like I said earlier, I think the distance was perfect for him, and when a horse moving the outside, make him jump in the beat real well. So I kind of wait a little bit more, and when I took him to the clear, he gave me a great run.
And am I right in saying that sometimes he's just kind of lazy, not really focused on what he's doing? Did the blinkers make a big difference today?
It did, yeah. He was much closer, much focus on the race. And when I asked him to go, he was there for me. He used to log in a little bit always too. Today he did not, and that helped his kick way much better than last time. He was logging in and he was like losing a couple of lengths. Every time I hit him, I got to take a hold of him. And today he was straight and he had a great run.
Yeah, I just called you my horse's name. Awkward. But Jose, what a great job with Admission Office, and really well done you by being so patient too.
Thank you.
All right, guys, Jose Ortiz and Admission Office, and trying to yell at my pony as I was trying to say congratulations to Jose. Always a little awkward.
I think this margin of victory was deceptive. I thought admission office won this even easier than it looked.
No doubt about it. I mean, you could talk about the move he made and the so-called slingshot move around horses, but I think admission office was much the best and would have moved a lot sooner with a cleaner trip inside. The overland route was not by choice. It was the only option he had.
Wide trip and closed with plenty underneath. Jose Ortiz, who continues to rack up victories and putting himself back in the picture here. Two-time defending leader among jockeys here at the meet. We're going to talk about the new top dog of the division. Accelerate was so good out west. We'll be back.
Grade 1 winner Data Link by world-renowned sire Warfront. Data Link scored in the prestigious Grade 1 Makers 46 mile at Keeneland, then set a new course record in the Grade 2 Monmouth Stakes. His runners include stakes winner Saratoga, along with a growing list of talented young runners. At public auction, his yearlings have sold up to $200,000. Data Link, standing at Claiborne Park.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Back on Saratoga Live, it is a very happy family waiting for Jose Ortiz right now. Taylor Rice, Jose's wife, and daughter Leilani. Couple expecting their second child in November. And Daddy's starting to rack up a lot of victories here at the Saratoga meet.
A lot of victories this year and a lot of victories in years to come. These two kids, I'm going to call them kids, I'm 56. They are so good, and I love that they're students of the game.
And the scariest thing is they're just getting better and better. They've not even hit their prime yet. Of course, Jose's older brother, Irad Ortiz Jr., the meet's leading rider right now, but Jose hopes to have a say in that as well, as he's won it the last 2 years. Admission office, $3.60, and he had to be ultra confident on this horse, swinging to the outside to take that trip.
I thought he was in a bad position. I thought that he was not going to catch up. Great ride and great effort by not only the first place finisher, but the second place finisher as well.
So Admission Office, lightly raced, 2 wins now and 3 career starts. As we take a look at the Naira Bets late pick 5 follow along and our first favorite in the sequence with 1 leg still to come.
You know, I just say, and obviously, if you're alive in the Naira Bets pick 5, good luck. Hope you get it home. Some nice prices. I want to disagree. I strongly disagree. I think that Jose Ortiz may have really made the difference there. I'm not saying Admission Office isn't the best horse in there, but I think it's close. I believe saving ground. He was too wide in both turns. He did not lose ground in the turn, while his brother made arguably a much wider, definitely a much wider, but also a premature move on the 5-horse Nakamura. And I really think that Jose Ortiz made the difference here, saving ground and not moving until late. He angled out in the stretch. He did not lose much ground in turns at all.
Andy, come on. I mean, look, if there was room inside, he would have moved at the exact same time his brother did.
No,
there was no room.
No,
he
that's
had
not
to
true.
Wait, and then he came around.
He actually said to Maggie he waited, and he saved his horse, and he saw his brother moving. So I completely disagree with you. This is 2 ways to look at the race, Tom, but I disagree strongly here. I think this was a brilliant ride by Jose Ortiz, and it absolutely made the difference.
I thought he toted him along, too. I'm going to take Andy Serling's side.
Oh,
and this might be the first time ever, but it might be
it's
over,
a proud moment. I'm quietly proud. Not that quietly.
All you got to do is watch the replay, guys. I mean, you know, you don't press the hyperspace button like you're playing your Xbox. He has nowhere to go. There's a bunch of horses in front of him. He angles out like that because he has to. End of story. He would have moved a lot sooner if he had the room.
He waited patiently while his brother moved too soon.
You don't want to swing 5 wide, right? I mean, is that 101 usually?
But these guys think they're playing Xbox. It's not like that out there.
Right. Well, no, I mean, let's explain to our viewers because they might not know. I mean, you don't want to purposely swing as wide as possible to try and win a race, right? If there's
he waited
room.
as long as he could inside because he knew the shortest way home was the way to win the race. It got to the point where he couldn't wait anymore because he had no room to go inside. So he swings his horse out. He has the best horse in the race, and he's able to get up because of it.
So there it is. And Admission Office giving him plenty when Jose asked for it. And in the end, gets the job done pretty comfortably at odds on in here. So Admission Office, nice win here in this spot. Do we have another rebuttal from downstairs?
Yeah, I'm gonna play naughty here, and I'm gonna leave Andy out of this. Tom Dinner, that the loser that ran second ran double digits farther on Trackus.
I'm not sure I understand what that means. I mean,
I'm
all
telling
I'm
you,
saying
if the horse
is
that
that
ran second ran double digits feet longer.
Ran significantly farther on
significantly farther than the winner. That's all I'm saying.
I thought the argument was that he waited or didn't wait, and I'm telling you he waited because he had no choice. There was nowhere to go inside. He waited as long as he could, and when there was nothing there, he did the only thing he could do,
Two
which was
arguments.
to swing out.
He could have moved with his brother, swung out 3 wide while his brother went 4 wide or gone wider. He could have moved with him. He
You
decided
just said his brother moved prematurely. Why would he do that?
I believe his brother did move prematurely.
Did he move prematurely or not? If he did, why would he do that? He's sitting on the inside waiting for a place to go.
Because he wanted to try to get the jump on Jose. Maybe that was his thinking.
Well,
But
you're
regardless, I believe
yourself.
Jose
I can't argue with somebody that keeps contradicting
He
himself.
swung wide in a straightaway. He did not lose considerable ground. He moved wide in the straightaway. He saved ground in the turns. That's when you need to save ground. This was a very good ride by Jose and made the difference, in my opinion.
I'm not saying that he didn't. I'm saying that he was left with no choice but to go around and would have moved a lot sooner inside if it was there.
I don't agree, Tom. I think he specifically waited when his brother made that move.
All right, well, you've made it clear you disagree. Difference of opinion. I'll side with my partner, the trainer, who's been in this game for a very long time. Let's move on to race 10. Difference of opinion. It's so funny. You could look at so many people look at this exact same race, see the same trip very differently as well, though. But that's why we love this game, and that's why we can have this argument later tonight. We invite those guys to dinner. We'll talk about it some more. Race 10.
And here you go. I like being up here because up here you get the last word, which I know is killing them downstairs.
Well, the last word in the older horse division, wow, might be accelerate when all is said and done. Time for what's trending coming up. What a performance in the Pacific Classic for Accelerate, a record margin of victory. Let's take a look.
Past the 3/8 they go, and Roman Rosso's the first one to weaken. Accelerate kicks for home, and there goes Accelerate, and he's widening fast now. Prime Attraction can go with him. Pavel is coming on to take second. At the top of the lane, Accelerate. Joel Rosario shaking the reins at him. He's opened up 6, 7 lengths as they turn for home. Pavel second, the others just racing for third money. And it is all Accelerate clear by double figures with a 16th of a mile to go. They said he would overwhelm this field, and he certainly has. Accelerate for John Sadler, and Joel Rosario gets his fourth.
Joel Rosario filling in for the injured Victor Espinosa, and this was a star-making performance. Accelerate joins Lava Man and Game On Dude, the only horses to sweep the Big Cap, the Gold Cup, of the Pacific Classic in one season.
I read somewhere that someone was knocking the competition of this race. Come on. This horse dominated a group of older horses that includes the Stephen Foster winner from Kentucky and a lot of really good horses. He is your pro tem leader right now in the older horse handicap division.
And, of course, we know about the other horse in the John Sadler barn, Catalina Cruiser, who was just sensational in the San Diego. He's going to keep them apart. Same ownership group. Catalina Cruiser going to go to the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile because they have their classic horse in Accelerate. Very interesting.
And a great luxury.
$25,000 claiming race, non-winners at 2 lifetime, closing things out on this Sunday card at Saratoga at 6 furlongs. Right now it's 43.08 and blinkers going on. Chris Engelhardt, Manny Franco, the favorite on the board. We'll talk through this field, paddock report, and a post parade when we come back on Saratoga Live.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on Saratoga Live. We got the nightcap coming up. We are 15 minutes away from a start in our finale here on this gorgeous Sunday afternoon at Saratoga Springs. $200 new member sign-up bonus. Use the promo code Saratoga Live to play all the races we show you all summer long. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. It's time for a paddock report. We're going to check in with Maggie Wolfendale. It's going to start off with 4308 North in our screen right now. It's the latitude of Saratoga Springs. Nice one to be a hunch play here in the finale coming up. This report brought to you by Hillendale Farm. Now standing Curlin for $150,000.
Thanks, Greg, and I have to thank Larry Colmus for enlightening us to that in his last start as 4308 North, or AKA Saratoga. Could be his barn name. Anyway, he's a favorite, and he looks spectacular here. He's really well muscled. He's come along nicely here for trainer Chris Engelhardt as he does put those blinkers on. I would call it a large cheater. It's not quite a three-quarter cup, not quite a cheater. It's somewhere in between as far as closing him in. And, you know, I thought he was kind of carried out last time. Maybe this is a tack to try to get him to run a bit straighter overall, but I cannot blame the public for going to him as your current favorite. A horse that is stepping up in class, I would have to say, you know, out of straight 3-year-old competition is number 9, Blinded Vision, but he is second off a layoff, and boy, he looks great here. I mean, at a horse that's likely to be double-digit odds when they go to post, he definitely doesn't look that way. Looks fantastic, plus he possesses early speed, which also might be a drawback. There does look to be quite a bit of speed on paper here, and we'll see what the turf-to-dirt horse, LNZ, does. Before his last 2 starts, this was a horse that possessed a lot of early speed, and his last 2, well, he hasn't shown it at all. Now, he is sharp here in the paddock as they've kept him mainly in the saddling stalls, but you can just tell he has that kind of sharp look in his eye. And here, you know, as far as switching surfaces, he does have more of a turf hoof. I'm not going to deny that, but he does have a bit of a swing pedigree, and his only start on the dirt was a maiden special weight at the fairgrounds in which he faced Multiplier, who was a repeat winner, who did win a graded stakes. He's not a killer, I know, but still, he's a lot better than anything else that LNZ is facing here today. Greg?
Yeah, LNZ, dangerous, you would think. Dropping in class 5-1 on the board of the 5-horse as you take a look at the jockeys getting ready to get a leg up. Jose Lezcano will be on Blinded Vision on the 9 in here. A speedster lost his footing just a touch off a short layoff at Belmont back on July the 5th, but there's plenty of other speed in this race.
There's a ton of speed in this race, and it makes you want to get away from the speed because when you look at those horses, the 2, 3, the 8, and the 9, you're going to have a hard case to show them passing any horses late in the race. So with that much speed in the race and that much challenge up front, I think you need to turn to maybe one of these closers, and that's where long shots come into play.
As we send it downstairs, guys, the 8, there's another look at the 4308 North. Blinkers going on. He's tactical. We'll see what that means with the equipment change.
Yeah, I don't think that he's going to be engaged in the pace, and I agree very much with Tom. There's speed signed on. A horse like Blinded Vision actually took advantage of a speed bias last time to finish second. 4308 was hustled last time more because I thought they were worried that there was no speed in there, and he ended up going too fast in the race. I thought he ran very well last time, and a repeat of that performance makes him very tough.
Yeah, it was a weird ride. He broke okay, and then Manuel Franco, I think, was instructed to push towards the pace, and he was really on the horse in front, and then when he took the lead, he just had nothing left for the drive. So I'm wondering what happens today. Do they lay back just a tiny, a bit more off the pace? Because you just let us use natural speed. Now he's going to wear blinkers for the first time, and he is 1 for 13 in his last 2 years. So maybe that's going to get him to focus some.
The 5 LNZ is a funny horse. He has never been at all effective on the turf unless he's been sent to the front.
Right?
The only time he raced in the dirt in his career, he actually ran a reasonable buyer, ran a tough race. I mean, Multiplier won the race, a talented 3-year-old, ran Triple Crown races, right? Might have run 3rd in the Preakness, now that I think about it. Got a 69 buyer figure. That was going long. Now he's trying short, but he can't employ a speed tactic. Could he be a horse that can rate on the dirt?
Yeah, so Tom's talking about all the speed, right? He's going to have to. He's the turf horse that lays back. You get Jose Ortiz, he takes it back, and he makes one run with him because his turf speed, I don't know if it's enough for a lot of these other horses' dirt speed. So, look, I would look for LNZ off the pace.
Yeah, I don't love him here. I'll give you a wild card horse, and Tom can comment upstairs, too. This horse will be closing, the 11 over rider. Owner Matthew Scher is very shrewd with his claims, and he's done some smart things around here. I think he might be that fuzzy long shot Tom was talking about.
He actually had, talking about the 11 here at 11-1, this horse actually has some races back as a 2-year-old that are much the best of anybody in this field.
The one thing that I question on this horse, a recent claim by Carlos Martin over Rider, is that there is no works since the horse was claimed. I don't know a trainer in North America that doesn't want to test one out and see what they do at a high speed to how they can improve them. Now, he's coming back fairly quickly, and that may have something to do with it, but I would much prefer, if I'm claiming a horse, to at least see them at a high speed and see what I'm dealing with.
Well, there's another look at that 9. That's the one Jose Lezcano aboard, blinded vision. He is very, very quick. But again, we talked about the other speed lined up in this field. Certainly the 3 has pace, the 2 quickness as well at 8-1 on the board, and we'll see though who's the quickest of the quick.
Well, and when you got that many, Greg, it's not like last night's closer where you only had 2 speed horses and one was able to outfoot the other. Here's a situation where you got 4 that are looking to go to the front. So it almost has to lend to a pace that's going to collapse.
There's a look at the camo. I'm sorry, the generalist. He beat the camo back on July 26th here. Is there making an adjustment here? What's happening with
the only
horse?
thing that's going on here is that the saddle slipped back. And so Kendrick is like, hey, I want this saddle up higher on his withers. And so they're just putting the saddle further up. There's nothing to see here, just the saddle being moved forward on the horse where Kendrick is more comfortable on the horse's back.
He is 5-1 right now, generalist, and he is one of many who could be part of that pace, and he has one of the quickest speed riders that love to be in front of the meet here. Kendrick Carmouche will be in the irons this afternoon. Here comes our post parade. And with the scratch of the 1, here comes the horse who now inherits the rail. Come on, Cat for Bruce Brown. Pace with Junior Alvarado.
Yeah, we keep talking about pace, and since they've added blinkers to the son of Discreet Cat, he's shown more, and he draws the rail. I think he's got to be committed.
Generalist. There is the 3. He'll get out there eventually when they get that settled for Eric Guillot off the claim.
Claimed out of a sloppy track win for trainer Chad Brown, now in the barn of Eric Guillot.
Vickers Legend, back trackside now. Ricardo Santana Jr. aboard for Oscar Barrera.
Maybe at 15-1, this is a horse that can pick up some pieces for maybe 2nd, 3rd, or 4th if you're playing some tries or supers.
LNZ, the only time this horse has been on the dirt, he faced a horse named Multiplier who would win the Grade 3 Illinois Derby, and he showed some ability in that dirt race.
I think it's interesting it's taken this long to get back to the dirt, but it concerns me that he's a horse that, at least in the turf, has always needed the lead to be most effective.
And there's the 3 all things settled with Generalist in that saddle, and Kendrick Carmouche and Generalist heading back to the track of the post parade now. Here's Southeast. Blinkers coming off. Gary Contessa off the claim.
Blinkers are going on a lot of horses in this race. Blinkers are coming off this deep closer, so maybe the gray will be rolling late at 19-1. This is my long shot.
Rogue Patriot, the 7 for Eduardo Jones, Rajiv Mirage aboard.
He would be a major upsetter in this race off his recent form. He's also a horse that's 1 for 16 lifetime.
The Latitude horse, 4308 North. Blinkers going on for Chris Engelhart with Manny Franco.
Yeah, and the one to beat on paper, and Blinkers will go on, the son of Fusaichi Pegasus.
9-5, taking a lot of attention on the board. Blinded Vision, speed here for John Toscano Jr. with Jose Lezcano.
I just don't think he's good enough to win this race. His last performance was helped by a speed bias.
Mad Money's the 10, Rudy Rodriguez. This horse showed pace back on July 5th at Belmont and got a win.
Yeah, you know, it's surprising that his price is cut in half. The buyer speed figure was not giant, but, you know, he showed a little bit of grit, and now he draws outside, and Irad sticks. I think that's key.
And Overrider, the intriguing long shot to the outside. Blinkers going on. It's Carlos Martin off the claim.
He is my long shot here, and he can come running at the end if the pace gets hot. Betting a little to win and betting an 8-11 exacta.
So 9-5 favoritism on 4308 North here in our nightcap coming up. And again, making that equipment change. Blinkers going on in here. You're in decent, and he has a race over this track at the meet. It came on opening day.
Well, I think the contradiction here is how well this horse has run and whether or not he is one-dimensional. Andy seems to think he's not. With the blinkers on, I think he's going to be part of a really hot pace. He's going to have to show that he can do more than just go to the lead.
Well, Overrider, he was his claim last time out, now in the Carlos Martin barn, and owned by Matthew Sherrill. Let's check in with Gabby Gaudet.
That's right, Greg, hanging out in the paddock with Matt and talking a little bit about this horse that you guys just claimed. The blinkers go on. Do you like the fact that it seems like there's a lot of pace in here?
Yeah, that's what we wanted to try, shortening him up. We blew him out the other day through the lane, and he went really well with the blinkers on, and looks like a lot of speed. So we think we'll be coming late at least. We'll see if he can get there in time, but
Well, you've got horses in all really facets of the sport, whether it's in the claiming levels or even graded stakes competition. But in terms of the claiming game, what do you kind of look for in horses?
You know, it varies a lot. Sometimes look for some back class. A lot of times, like with this horse, we saw he had a bad trip last time or the time before we claimed him out in Ellis Park. And sometimes we look for bad trips. We watch replays, look at the numbers, sheet numbers, regular numbers, everything. You know, it's kind of like breeding sometimes. You want to try turf. There's always an angle. Usually it's an angle. Sometimes we would look for ones we want to make into, hopefully into stakes horses, like Glorious Empire, Cage Fighter. There's been a few over the years.
I was just going to mention Glorious Empire, dead heating in the Bowling Green. You've had 3 wins so far at the Saratoga meeting. Must be going pretty well, huh?
2 seconds also out of like 7. So it's been crazy because there's been some years where we can't buy a win. So this year's been really good.
You enjoying it with your family?
A lot of fun. They're a lot of fun with them. Yeah.
All right. Well, best of luck here, Matt.
Thank you.
All right, Greg, back to you. An owner that can do well at any stage of the game.
Well, 10-1, I should say right now. An Overrider claimed, and they immediately jump him up in class and equipment change. And as Tom mentioned, no works since that time.
But you just heard Matt say they blew him out down the lane, so it's not something that shows. So maybe they know their horse a little better than we thought.
Quick break in the action. We'll return. Will be family time in the winner's circle for the connections of Overrider. We'll find out next.
Grade 1 winner Lee traveled the world competing against the best of his generation. A graded stakes winner on both dirt and turf, he set a new track record in the Grade 1 Don Handicap and retired with earnings of more than $2.3 million. Now his flashy first crop yearlings are turning heads with a striking resemblance to their internationally successful sire. The sky's the limit for this promising young stallion. Lee, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Welcome back to Saratoga Live as we have horses warming up for the nightcap and watching some of them do so. I want to touch on one of the inside runners and one of the possible speeds in number 3, Generalist, who comes off the claim of Ford trainer Eric Guillot. We don't see Eric Guillot claiming that many horses, but he's a horse that is yet to run on a fast track. Now, he is the son of gemologists. They seem to be a little bit, granted emphasis on little bit, better on the turf. This guy does have a little bit more of a turf action to him, and so that's why his sloppy track races, sealed sloppy track races, are kind of better. So we'll see what he does here on a fast track. Then the turn back horse in number 11, Overrider. I don't see why physically this horse can't be successful turning back, especially with the setup, especially with those blinkers on. Pretty full cup on this runner, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thank you very much. 5-1 on General. I thought made a tremendous appearance here. He's going to load up here shortly at 5-1 on the board. But again, he's one of many speeds in this race.
Yeah, look, I'm playing a real long shot. That's him going in the gate right there in Vickers Legend. A horse that can finish, had some gate problems a couple back.
A 4-horse for Tom at 20-1, trying to Cash out in the get-out race here on this Sunday afternoon at Saratoga, but it's 9-5 favoritism, 43.08 North. The 8-horse Blinkers On, the one to beat here as we close things out. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York Racing for the call, Larry Colmus.
Just one left to load here. Overrider with Mike Luzzy will come up to the outside stall with a little help from the assistant starters there, and they're all in line. Just trying to settle them down, a few of them fractious. They're off. Vickers Legend a bit slow into stride. LNZ had the best beginning. Blinded Vision 43.08 North. Generalist is rushing on through, and on the inside it's Come On Cat. And behind them, Rogue Patriot, break of another 5 lengths more. Back to Mad Money's Overrider is next. And then it's Southeast, and Vickers Legend is last of them all, past the half-mile pole. And it is Blinded Vision up top, 22.39 the opening quarter mile. The lead is a length. Generalist is running in second. 43.08 North moves up on the outside third. 3 lengths to Come On Cat. Then it's LNZ starting to lose a bit of ground as Mad Money's is circling up with speed. 6 lengths from the front. Then comes Rogue Patriot on the inside, and they're coming toward the top of the stretch. And it is Blinded Vision who's gone 46.02 for the half. Turning for home in front. Generalist is coming off the rail. On the outside comes Come On Cat trying to put in a bid. And then Mad Money's on the far outside. 43.08 North has dropped out of contention. Southeast has made some progress on the inside. They have to catch Blinded Vision on the outside. Come On Cat. Blinded Vision holding on to win it 3/4 of a length. Come On Cat was second, and then came Southeast and Mad Money's.
14-1 to close things out. Blinded Vision with the victory. Generalist, the 3 got the early lead, but then this horse quickly went right on by.
Yeah, it was Jose Lezcano on Blinded Vision's move after the first 1/8 of a mile and said, I'm going to take over this race and try to go all the way, and got in front of Generalist and led a very quick pace, was able to hold on.
Yeah, I mean, give credit to Jose Lezcano. He was the most aggressive of the riders, and frankly, looked like they were going a fast pace, but it wasn't that fast a pace, all things considered. I couldn't have this horse, but this horse was best.
Yeah, and sometimes we were talking about, guys, speed, so much speed in a race, and we're all looking for a closer, but there really was not a true closer. So Jose Lezcano took it upon himself to go, you know what? I'll get to the front end and see if somebody can run me down. The only one that really made up ground was the 6 on the rail, but was never a factor here. And you're right, Greg, 14-1, a great price.
And the 9 didn't even break all that great in this race, but when asked to try and get to the front, this horse just took off. Very close for third. 9-2, I believe the 10.
Close.
10 or the 6.
Close for me to
third.
call.
But there's your winner, Blinded Vision, 14-1 to close things out here on this Sunday afternoon. Should I spill the drama? We'll wait. It was the 10 horse for third, and we're gonna have a nice return in our Naira Bets late pick 5. We'll have that for you when we come back. Stick with us.
Visit Rivers Casino and Resort, upstate New York's ultimate entertainment destination, with live table game action and the hottest new slots paying out millions. Book your luxury waterfront room or suite at upstate New York's premier resort, the Landing Hotel at Rivers Casino and Resort.
Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Into the winner's circle in the nightcap. It is Blinded Vision. Jose Lezcano, John Toscano Jr., Brand Jam Stable. It's on a Shanghai Bobby. When he kind of got his feet underneath him after not the best of beginnings, boy, was he quick.
He was indeed, and a deserving winner, just ran him off their feet.
Naira Bets, late pick 5, $17,631, and that was with the, if you singled admission office, an odds-on favorite you could have used as a free square. Wow. Saratoga Showdown free online contest. Heaven Bound. Getting the job done, and the best of the bunch. Again, you can get involved in this contest, playing for free every day for real prizes. Go to naira.com/showdown to play the Saratoga Showdown each and every day of the meets. Our weekend in the books. Don't forget, though, we're back on Monday for Eastern Time. We will see you then. Today, we had some very intriguing racing, of course, and we look forward next Saturday coming up. We're going to see the boys in the Travers.
That's the big day and big night.
Yes, it is. We've had a couple of fun nights after the Travers. Hopefully, they're winning ones as well. Hope you enjoyed our show. Again, we are back on Monday at 4 Eastern Time. Petrov, Jose Ortiz for Ron Moquette, getting it done in race 8, dropping out of a grade 1 for the impressive win. And admission office for trainer Chad Brown and Ammerman Racing. Nice win, 2 for 3 on the turf now. Family's happy for Jose.